Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto trained by Asuma and Kakashi seriously for the Chunin exam part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Konoha was still being repaired by the citizens of Konoha. Everyone was working hard to show the other villages that they were still quite strong. They also did it to honor the memory of the Sandaime Hokage. The genin were also helping out the village by helping in hospital, finding people and rebuilding as well. One such genin was Naruto Uzumaki. He was a great help to many as he could create so many clones. It was also pretty good training for him. Thanks again Naruto for the extra manpower. One of the villagers said. Anytime. See you later. Naruto said. He jogged off and made his way to Ichiraku's. He figured that he did his good deeds for today. Not only did he help with construction, but he had been running message for everybody at the council's request. He was going to get him a steaming bowl of ramen for his hard work. As he made his way to the ramen shop, he ran into Janken. Hey Pipsqueak, what's going on with you? Janken asked. Nothing much, just finished doing some stuff. What about you and what's with the boar? Naruto asked. Oh, some of the food supply was destroyed during the invasion. They found a pack of wild boar some miles away from the village. Since I'm an advent hunter, they asked me to join the hunting party. I caught this one and I'm on my way to give it to the vendors. Janken said. That's cool. I know Yukumo is busy helping her clan. Doesn't hurt that she is spending every day with her crush, Haku. Naruto joked. Janken grinned as well. At the Kurama clan home, Yukumo suddenly got angry confusing Haku. Back with the boys, Naruto continued to talk. So, let's meet up at the training ground later. No need for us to slack off with our skills. Yeah, no problem. The two decided to go their separate ways, but Janken soon stopped and turned to his teammate. Hey, have you seen Sensei around? Janken asked. Not since the funeral. I wonder where she could be. In the apartment of Anko Mitarashi, said Kunoichi was asleep on her couch, her itcha on her forehead. She heard a noise coming from her kitchen. She looked up and saw her house guest in there making something. I didn't know that you could cook, Kakashi. Anko said. Well, I owe you for allowing me to stay here, Anko. Sorry that I took up your couch. Kakashi said. I told you that my bed was just fine. Anko said with a sly grin. Kakashi just gave her an eye smile before placing 2 plates on her table. Anko stood up and made her way to the table. She sat down across from him and began to eat. While she did that, Kakashi was feeding his mutts. She wasn't really a dog lover, but she did like Bull. He was just so cuddly. Besides, the big lung liked her too. Anko, I have been meaning to say something to you for a while. Kakashi said. Oh? I've been meaning to thank you for making Naruto as strong as he is. I wasn't there for the fight, but I saw how he fought against Gaara before he led him away. You've done a really good job with all of your students. Kakashi said. Don't get too so sentimental on me, Kakashi. I know the reason why you are telling me that and you don't need to feel sorry. You had your own stuff that you were going through. You couldn't be there for him like you wanted. Besides, you don't have to worry anymore. He has become strong and you did have a hand in it by giving him that damn manual on Kenjutsu. Anko snarled. Kakashi just chuckled. They ate silently for a while before Anko spoke again. You know that you made a mistake teaching the Uchiha your technique, right? Anko, just hear me out. I get why you taught him the jutsu. You want him to form bonds, to give a reason for him to protect Konoha. However, you only have to look into his eyes to see what he truly thinks. His eyes are only focused on revenge. He cares about power and will do anything to get it. It is why Orochimaru targeted him. Teaching him the Chidori is only asking for trouble. Anko explained. I will take your advice under consideration, Anko. Perhaps I have been too lax in my methods. Kakashi said somberly. The first step is admitting it. Anko said with a huff. After they finished eating, Anko spoke again. So, what did you think about the Mito and Kasumi scene with Kaio? Was that not the best scene of the book? Kakashi asked excitedly. Hell yeah. Anko cheered. The two would continue to talk and laugh. A loud explosion was heard from within the forest. Sasuke looked at the boulder that he had just hit with the Chidori. He was breathing hard after that second attempt. It made him so angry that he could only use this jutsu twice. He glared at his still broken arm as it reminded him about his failure in the finals. The jutsu had worked, but he was still thrown around like a piece of trash. It didn't matter if Gaara was some sort of monster, he should have defeated him. I told you, you are only an appetizer to my real target. Sasuke clenched his fist in frustration and anger. Those words pissed him off. How dare he just dismiss him like he was nothing to him. He was Uchiha, the best of the best. He was above some girl and that blonde nobody. It also did not help when he walked around town to hear about the first bout of the finals. Apparently, most of the damage done to the arena was due to those two, Naruto and Maidashi. It also didn't help to hear that it was because of Naruto that Gaara was stopped. Every time he heard Naruto's name, he would get angry. He would always think back to that loss that he suffered at his hand. He knew that Naruto graduated a year early, but from what he saw, he was nothing really special. To him, Naruto got lucky in that spar. However, he was angry that Naruto knew an art that he couldn't get his head around. Genjutsu was just too difficult and he needed power now. From what he saw, it just came naturally to him. Then there was the girl. He believed that her name was Maidashi. He learned through the gossip mill that she was working with Orochimaru. In her fight with Naruto, she apparently demonstrated power that no genin should have. She nearly killed Naruto several times and showed skill in ninjutsu. He did not forget the tip of her sword that nearly stabbed him in the head. He even saw her glare and it froze him to his core. He cursed himself for his weakness and how far he was behind certain people. He should be the best. It was something that he was always told. It was something that was in his DNA. He was an Uchiha and the Uchiha were strong. He would not be pushed aside. He would show everyone just how strong he was. Jiraiya was sitting down and looked at the beauties with his telescope. He giggled perversely and had a stupid grin on his face as he looked at the females of Konoha. Still acting like a teenager. A female voice said. Jiraiya turned to see the two elders, Homura and Kaharu. "Oh, esteemed elders, what can I do for you today?" Jiraiya asked. "We came to tell you about our meeting that we had. You know the one that you were supposed to attend?" Homura asked annoyed. "Was that today?" "Sorry, I had more pressing matters." Jiraiya said. "Anyway, we have made some decision. First, with Tsunade's surrender and explanation, we have allowed them to have those that we have captured." Kaharu explained. "Does that include the late Kazukija's children?" Jiraiya asked. "Yes, we released them to their sensei." Kaharu answered. "I'm truly surprised by that. I figured your buddy would have kept him as a weapon. What made you return him to his village? Despite how you feel about our colleague, we knew that if we kept the boy, he would need years of training. Also, we knew that the populace would not truly accept another Jinchuriki within the village." Homura said. "Really? For what I've been hearing through the gossip mill, is that Anko's team are a couple of rock stars." Jiraiya stated. "Yes, they did their duty of the village. Naruto's clones are a big help to the village," Homura said with a tense tone. Jiraiya smirked at that because it must have burned him to say that about Naruto. Kaharu turned the attention back to the reason of their visit. "We have also decided that you shall be our next Hokage," Kaharu said. "Nah, I don't think so," Jiraiya said with annoyance. The two elders looked ready to blow their top when he continued. "I'm just not Hokage material. Plus, do you really think that the women would want me as a ruler? Anyway, I have someone else in mind for the position and I was hoping to go and get her," Jiraiya said. When he said her, the two elders had disapproval looks on their faces. "Do you really believe that she is even worthy of the position? Just because her family helped build the village, it does not mean anything. In fact, she brings shame to her family's name with her current actions," Homura said with tone. "She is the only choice we have. If we allow the other choice to become Hokage, we will have enemies from all sides. No, she is the best choice for now until someone is worthy of the title," Jiraiya explained. The two did not look convinced. "Look, if she takes the position, it would deter our rivals from making moves against us. Just having her back in the village is a strong deterrent." The elders had to admit that he had a point. While they did not like it, they would accept it. "Very well, we will be sending you with an Anbu team to retrieve her," Homura said. "That will only cause problems. I only need to bring one person with me," Jiraiya said. "You can be serious?" Naruto asked with a deadpan expression. He was with Yukumo who was taking a break from fixing up the clan home. Even she was surprised by the request made by Jiraiya. "What do you mean by that?" "Of course I'm serious. I need you to come with me to get the new Hokage," Jiraiya stated with a little annoyance. "If you haven't noticed, Iro-senin," Naruto ducked a swipe at his head, "I'm kind of needed here." "Well, this is more important than delivering messages around the village," Jiraiya argued. "Why don't you take the position?" Naruto asked. That's when Jiraiya smirked at him, making him sigh. "That was stupid question. Fine, I'll go with you. Who exactly are we picking up?" "Well, we are going to try and convince her to take the mantle of the Hokage. She doesn't exactly have a strong tie to the village. In fact, she might just blow us off if we ask her." Naruto just looked at the man with narrowed eyes. "That's it, you're on the list," Naruto said before walking off to get his gear. Yukumo chuckled while Jiraiya looked confused. "That's bad for you. When you make the list, you have to be on your toes. It usually doesn't end well," Yukumo said and she stood up to leave. That just made Jiraiya more confused and a little frightened. What the hell was this list they were talking about? Somewhere in the village, several shinobi, including Kakashi, suddenly shivered. "The Nodo no Kuni, land of sound," Orochimaru roared in pain and unleashed a shout. A body laid on the floor, blood pooling around them. Orochimaru was in great pain and was angry. How dare that old man do this to him? He took away his jutsu, the thing that he made him strong. He could not get back at the man because he belonged death god. However, there was an upside to this. He had his mark on Sasuke and soon, he would be coming to him. It would not be long now. He now had to deal with this problem with his arms. He could not stay this way if he was to get his revenge. He suddenly smiled as he knew someone who could help him regain the mobility that he needed. It would be an easy meeting as he had something she wanted. "Kabuto," he called out. The traitor stepped into the room and stood a good distance away from his master. "It's time I get my hands repaired. Send out the scouts to locate my wayward teammate." "You don't mean?" Kabuto was cut off by the sinister smile on Orochimaru's face. The fair-skinned woman of average height and slender build watched as her master once again lost all of their money. She was holding a potbelly pig as she cried for the loss of the money. Her master, a light-skinned woman of average height with brown eyes and straight blonde hair, could only growl at her loss. The men of the gambling house just chuckled at their good fortune. "It's not every day that we get to play the Densetsu no Kamo, the legendary sucker, Tsunade." Naruto had his pack with everything he would need. Before he made his way to the gate, he decided to do something to Jiraiya. While he was grateful for everything that the man did for him, he had been building up a prank for a while now. He had just put his prank into play and it really did not take much. Naruto suddenly felt the ground shake and turned toward the village. That's when he saw Jiraiya. He was really moving. He saw the reason for this, being an angry mob of women and men. Naruto just grinned as Jiraiya ran up to him, grabbed him by his pack and ran out of the village. The mob chased after them. It would be about a mile before they gave up the chase. When Jiraiya was sure that they were not being chased, he tossed the blonde to the ground. Naruto looked up at the man to see that he was not happy with him. "What did you do?" Jiraiya demanded angrily. "Well, it's really your fault, Iro-senin, pervy sage. I didn't tell you to use actual people in your books. I just happened to point this out to a guy I know. His wife goes to the hot springs that you peek at. He wasn't too happy that someone was peeking at her or using her appearance. I'm sure that there is some law against it," Naruto said with a grin. Jiraiya was red in the face. "Damn you, Naruto." Jiraiya shouted and jumped at him. Naruto dodged him and took off. Jiraiya was hot on his heels. Yukumo entered the clan compound after a small walk. She had a smile on her face as several very pissed off women were on the rampage. They were seeking out every last copy of Icha Icha to burn. Even a few men were helping out. She just found it amusing and made a note to thank Naruto for his prank. She did worry that either Anko or Kakashi would not appreciate it as much as she did. Yukumo shrugged it off and wished Naruto luck when he returned. As she was passing the common room, she heard voices. Curious, she made her way to see who it was. She was surprised to see Haku and her father. She watched and listened in. "So, this Tenzin, a well-known crime lord, has your mentor, Zabuza. Where did you hear this information?" Murakumo asked. "The council informed me while I was tending to some people at the hospital. It was the third meeting that I have had as they want me to enlist in the CRA," Haku said. "The Clan Restoration Act. Konoha is not big on that act. They shouldn't even be suggesting it. I will be making a complaint later. However, what do you wish of me, Haku?" Murakumo asked. "I owe the Kurama clan a lot for helping me get situated in Konoha. I am asking for your help to save Zabuza-sama." Haku got on his knees and bowed his head. "I beg you to please help me." Murakumo looked at the young man before him. "What do you think, daughter? Is it worth the risk?" Murakumo asked. Yukumo nervously poked her head out. She walked up to the two and Haku got to his feet. Yukumo looked at her father with a serious expression. "Father, Haku owes a lot to Zabuza. He took him in and gave him a purpose, if only to serve his own. If you deny him help, Haku will just leave on his own to save him. It would be a blow to us because we sponsored him. We are responsible for Haku and we should help him in his time of need," she explained. "I see. You are not just saving this just because of your attraction to him or the fact that the council is bothering him about the CRA," Murakumo said bluntly. Yukumo was red in her cheeks and Haku had a small blush as well. "I am saying this as heiress and as a shinobi father. Haku is a part of the clan and we should help him," Yukumo exclaimed. "Very well, I will speak to Ankai and see what we can do." "Yukumo is right, you are a part of the clan and we will help you in your time of need," Murakumo said. He stood and left the room quickly to avoid the glare that his daughter sent him. Alone now, Yukumo and Haku faced each other. "I'm sorry about my father. He can be a pain sometimes," Yukumo said. "It is alright. Thank you, Yukumo, for your kind words and your help. I know that you don't have a positive opinion of Zabuza-sama," Haku said. "I know how much he means to you. I don't want you to get in trouble," Yukumo said. That's when she remembered something. "Oh, what is the CRA? I've never heard of it and my father was not happy about it." Oh, it is something that was created after the warring era. Because I'm the last male of the Yuki clan, I can get together with several women of birthing age to rebuild my clan. This is mostly done to bring my Kekkei Genkai back. It isn't done out of love. Haku explained. Yukumo might have been smiling on the outside, but inside a rage was building like no other. That's interesting. So, you are refusing their plans? Yukumo asked. I wish to marry for love, not just to bring back my clan or my Kekkei Genkai. Besides, the council members' daughters are a little too pushy. I get uncomfortable at their pursuits. Haku said with a laugh. Of course. Yukumo said with a smile. Mentally, she was making plans to deal with these women. Yukumo made no secret that she liked Haku. Her teammates, sensei, mother, father, uncle and several clan members teased her about it when they got a chance. If the council thought that they were going to crouch into her territory, they had another thing coming. As the future heiress, it would be frowned upon if she just put people in a terrible genjutsu. However, she knew someone who wouldn't mind doing something dirty to get her point across. Someone who would enjoy sending the message that she wanted every young girl to know that Haku was off limits. Someone who enjoyed the suffering of others and would grin happily. Anko held her head up, stopping Janken from his report to her. She looked around the tea shop as if to look for someone. Janken did the same. Something wrong? Janken asked. No, I just thought I heard someone call me. Maybe they were thinking about me. Anko said. Maybe it was the pipsqueak. I mean, he's probably realizing that he angered you and that you're going to kill him as he enters the village. Janken commented. I'm not going to kill him. I might maim him a little but not kill him. Kakashi is a different story. He was not happy and had to hide his stash. Anko said. Janken just shrugged at her, making her chuckle. Anyway, you were saying that he was practicing the Chidori? Anko asked. Yeah, that's right. From what I saw, he's frustrated that he can only do the jutsu twice. I've seen the mark flare, but the seal that your boyfriend put on him is keeping it at bay. Remind me again why you didn't suggest that Naruto did the sealing. He did wonders for your seal. Janken stated. First of all, Kakashi is not my boyfriend. Secondly, he already placed the seal on him when his fight was over during the preliminaries. In his defense, he didn't know just how good Naruto is. It wasn't until I showed him his work that he realized his blunder. Anko said with a smirk. So, is there anything more? Nope, that's everything. All that guy does is train, brood and train. Isn't Kakashi-sensei going to be upset when he learns that you are keeping tabs on his student? Janken asked. I'll take the hit if it ever came out. I don't trust that boy. He's too much like Orochimaru for my tastes. Anko said. You really think that he's that dangerous? Are you sure that you're not just projecting because of the mark on him? Janken asked. It has nothing to do with my history with Orochimaru. Sasuke craves power to complete his ambitions. Orochimaru knows this and that's why he marked him. If he can't find that power here, he will find it elsewhere. She explained. Well, I trust you sensei. I'll keep my eyes on him. Janken said. No need. I'll take over. I know that you're needed elsewhere. The two enjoyed their tea. Hajiram and Katohim made their way to the training area of Rikshidam, Dragon Ground Cave. They were sent by Orochimaru to get her. When they arrived they heard a frustrated roar. They peeked to see Maidashi destroy a boulder with her fist. She was breathing hard and was leaking killer intent. What do you want? Maidashi demanded. Hajiram stepped forward, fear rolling off her. We were told to summon you, mistress. Hajiram said fearfully. You tell Orochimaru I don't have time for him. I'm busy right now. Maidashi said with a tone. Are you still working on that jutsu? What is it called? Katohim asked. Naruto-kun called it the Rasengan. Such an impressive jutsu but so damn frustrating. From my brief experience, it is a sphere of pure chakra, it requires no hand seals, and he needs a clone to use it. There must be a secret or some sort of training that is needed to complete this jutsu. Maidashi said. I might know something mistress. Orochimaru was ranting about your prey, especially that he knows this Rasengan. Apparently, it is a jutsu of the Yondaime Hokage, fourth fire shadow, which took him 3 years to create. He is annoyed by the fact that he knows the jutsu and other things. He is making Naruto a target. Hajiram said. This did not please the young girl. That's when Katohim spoke. Perhaps you should go in another direction Maidashi-sama. She said. Are you implying that this jutsu is beyond me? Maidashi asked with a tone. And no, I'm not implying it. However, instead of copying the jutsu, perhaps you should create a similar jutsu, one that can create the same damage. Katohim said quickly. Maidashi thought about it for a while and had to admit that she had a point. She knew that anything with the Yondaime's name attached to it would be protected well. The only ones who would know about would be anyone connected to the Yondaime. What did Orochimaru want from me? Maidashi asked. He wishes for you to accompany him to search for his other teammate. Katohim answered. Very well, I will meet him soon. "Kakashi, are you alright?" Asuma exclaimed. Kakashi was not alright. He was in some real trouble. He looked at the two men in front of him. They were Hoshigaki Kisame and Uchiha Itachi, two of the world's most dangerous missing men. He couldn't help but wonder if this was going to get worse. He noticed the two and shadowed them. He thanked his luck that Kurenai and Asuma passed by. He left it to them, but he felt that they would need his help. After distracting Sasuke, he arrived in time to save the two. After a small break, Kakashi was engaged by Itachi. It was only his experience that saved him twice. Then everything went downhill. When Itachi was activating his Sharingan, he quickly told his comrades to close their eyes. He engaged with his Sharingan as Itachi's eyes changed into something different. He suddenly found himself strapped to a cross. Kakashi could not free himself as he was stabbed by Itachi. This would continue as it kept replaying only with more copies of Itachi. It wouldn't be long until Kakashi cried out. While it seemed like an eternity, only seconds passed. He was now on his knees, ready to pass out. However, he would say something to the two men. "So, the Akatsuki have begun to move," Kakashi stated, surprising the two men. "I won't allow you to harm Naruto." It stunned the two Konoha-men. Kisame, capture Kakashi, kill the other two. Kisame charged at them with murderous intent. That's when Kakashi heard something. Konoha Maraki Senk. Tree-leaf strong whirlwind, Kisame was launched back to Itachi. The water settled and Guy stood in front of his rival. The sublime green beast of prey has arrived. Kakashi chuckled before passing out. Anko was carrying several bags. Today would be Kakashi's last day with her and she wanted to make him something. She also got Bull some premium steaks. That should win her some points. She entered her apartment only to see several of her colleagues. Kurenai and Asuma looked banged up. That's when she saw Kakashi. Dropping the bags, she was at his side. She looked at her fellow Chunin, giving them a demanding glare. "We were attacked. We don't know if they are still in the air. Anko, we need to know where Naruto is," Asuma said. "Naruto is not in the village. He's with Jiraiya on a mission." "What does this have to do with my student?" "Hey, what's going on?" Everyone turned to see Sasuke. The genin gave everyone a once-over. "Not now, kid. Adults are talking, so get lost." Anko spat. Sasuke gave Anko a dirty look but did not challenge her. As he was about to walk away, a genin in sunglasses appeared. "Hey, is it true Itachi returned to the village and is after Naruto?" he asked. Everyone looked at him like he was stupid. Sasuke just froze for a second before running off. "Aoba, you fucking idiot. Guy, go after him," Anko ordered. Guy saluted her and was gone. Anko faced everyone in the room. "Now, will someone please tell me what the hell is going on?" Jiraiya blocked Naruto's punch and avoided his sweep. Jiraiya kept on the defensive as Naruto attacked him. Naruto summoned 5 clones and they attacked in a clever formation that made Jiraiya try harder to not get hit. Having enough, Jiraiya quickly destroyed the clones. He then grabbed Naruto and slammed him into the ground, pinning. "Not bad, kid, you actually pushed me a little," he said with a grin. He released Naruto and the blonde sat up. "So, how's your training with the Rasengan coming along?" "It's coming. I still need a clone to help me, but I'm able to create it with one hand and hold it for a long time. I still lose concentration when I move in to use it," Naruto explained to him. That's when he got a curious expression. "So what can you tell me about your teammate? And I swear to Kami, if you talk about her measurements again, I'm going to kick you in the nuts." "Aw, you're no fun," Jiraiya said with a grin. "Well, Tsunade is pretty volatile. She's also kind of vain due to the fact that she keeps up a henge transformation to look young. She's pretty straightforward and rarely gives out compliments. She's also known as the Densetsu no Kamo, the legendary sucker. She gambles a lot and sucks at it. And we are really going to make this woman a cage?" Naruto asked. "She's the only one who is capable. It's better than the alternative," Jiraiya said seriously. Naruto did not pry in the matter. "So why is she away from the village?" he asked. "Well, Tsunade doesn't have a good opinion of the village. She pretty much swore that she would never return to the village. But that shouldn't worry you too much," Jiraiya said with amusement. This just made Naruto give Jiraiya a dirty look. "I weep for the old man when he was younger and had to deal with you and your teammates," Naruto said. "Shut up," Jiraiya said. They packed up and made their way toward the town. Naruto was walking around Otafukugai, homely woman town. He didn't really want to go to the room yet as Jiraiya ordered. He did this out of spite due to the fact that the pervert ditched him. In truth, he thought that woman was winking at him. Either way, he decided to go and see if Iiko was around. He remembered coming here when he first met Jiraiya. He finally found the building and entered it. As soon as he entered, a few of the girls remembered him. "Hey, you're that cutie with that team that came for Jiraiya," said one of the girls. They crowded him and hoovered over him. It made the blonde blush, making them giggle. "How have you been, little boy?" "I've been good," Naruto said, getting some control over himself. Hey, is Iiko around? That's when the girls got worried looks on their faces. Iiko should have been back 3 days ago. She was sent to Kawa no Kuni, land of rivers, to be arm candy to an important lord. She would usually send a message if she was going to be late, but we have yet to receive any type of message. The boss is waiting for a message from the lord she was supposed to be with. He's already sent a request to Konoha. Another girl explained. Is that so? That sounds troubling, but I wouldn't worry too much. Konoha is the best at things like that, Naruto said. He talked for a little longer before leaving, saying his goodbyes. When he was clear of the place, he bit into his thumb. Smearing some blood on his palm, he did the hand seals for the Kuchius no Jutsu, summoning technique. A small puff of smoke cleared to reveal a small yellow toad. "Hi Naruto," was the lazy greeting by the toad. "Hey Gamatsu, I need you to deliver a message for me. You remember my teammate Janken?" Naruto made his way back to his room. He prayed to whatever god there was that Jiraiya was not in the room doing stuff. As he neared the door, a voice shouted out his name. He turned around to see Sasuke. He wondered what the hell he could want. His attention turned back to the room when he heard the door open. However, it was not Jiraiya that stepped out, it was two men. Both men were wearing black robes with red clouds. The taller of the two had something strapped to his back and he had the face of a fish. The shorter of the two looked like an Ichi. "What the who are you guys?" Naruto asked in confusion. "Itachi." Sasuke roared and launched himself at the group. Lightning danced in his hand as he thrust forward to kill the shorter of the two. That's when the adult's hand whipped out and caught Sasuke's wrist, redirecting the attack. An explosion occurred when it made contact with the wall. When the smoke cleared, there was a huge hole and the two were looking at each other. That's when the older of the two spoke. "You don't interest me," he said and snapped Sasuke's wrist. He then kicked Sasuke in the chest and sent him flying down the hall. Naruto used the Shunshin no Jutsu, body flicker technique, to catch Sasuke before he hit the wall. He threw 3 shuriken at the two. Shuriken Cage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. Naruto called out. They watched as the three multiplied by hundreds. Well impressed, Kisame did some seals of his own. Suiton. Sujinheki, water release. Water formation wall. He called out and spat out a large volume of water. Naruto saw that the shield of water stopped all of the shuriken. Naruto quickly did hand seals that rose the floor up and closed off the hallway. "Okay, it's time to get out of here," Naruto said. "What do you think you are doing? Take that wall down," Sasuke ordered angrily. "Are you stupid? We are getting the hell out of here before they kill us." Naruto shouted and grabbed Sasuke, dragging him away. Sasuke tried to fight him, but Naruto had a very strong grip. He tossed Sasuke out of the window and quickly followed after him. When they landed on the ground however, they were confronted by the two men. "That was a clever escape Naruto. Unfortunately, my brother will not cooperate with you. He wishes to kill me and will not allow this chance to pass," Itachi said. Naruto sucked his teeth and was looking for a way out when Sasuke got out of his grip and charged at Itachi. Naruto cursed and was about to join him when a bandaged item blocked his path. "Nah kid, let's just stay out of this. It seems like they have a lot to work out," he said. Naruto growled and saw that Sasuke was clearly outmatched. Naruto did some seals to launch a jutsu, but the chakra was soon gone. Naruto was confused and looked at the taller man in front of him. "What the hell did you do with my chakra?" Naruto demanded. "Oh, that wasn't me. That was my blade, Samehada. It eats chakra and it seems to like yours," he said with a grin. "Well, that sucks," Naruto said. "Well, I think that Itachi is almost done. So, I should shave off your legs off just so that you don't run," he said. "I don't think I would like that. How about this?" Naruto quickly unsealed his staff and launched it at him. He raised his sword to block it and used his other hand to grab Naruto in midair. "You're only making this harder on yourself," he said with amusement. Naruto grabbed the man's forearm and smirked. That's when he felt a jolt of electricity run down his arm. Naruto was free and he quickly got some distance. He also managed to grab his staff and get into a stance. The man looked very amused even though he could not use his arm right now. "Well kid, I'm kind of impressed. The name's Kisame and if you want to fight, you've got one." Kisame readied Samehada and was eager to fight the staff-wielding blonde. However, they would not get the chance as someone appeared. "How dare you underestimate the power of Jiraiya the Gamasenin, Toad Sage. When you are as awesome as I am, the women trip over their feet to meet with me," Jiraiya boasted. Itachi tossed Sasuke away when Jiraiya appeared. Sasuke landed in a heap as he turned his attention to Jiraiya and Naruto. "I see. It was you who told Kakashi about our organization," Itachi stated. "You should have stayed away Itachi. You two have made a grave mistake. You will not be leaving here alive," Jiraiya said, raising his killing intent. "No," Sasuke said, struggling to stand on his feet. "He's mine to kill. Are you mental? He just whipped your ass without even trying." "Stand down and let Jiraiya handle this," Naruto said. "Shut up and stay out of this. I will not be denied my vengeance," Sasuke said and prepared to launch himself again. That's when his vision was blocked by Naruto appearing in his view. He then felt incredible pain coming from his chest. Sasuke gasped and passed out from the pain. Naruto took him and got out of the way. Seeing this, Itachi made a choice. Raiden. Raijin Rikachu, lightning release. Lightning illusion flash of lightning pillar. Itachi said. Everyone in the area had to cover their eyes from the bright light coming off him. Jiraiya was quick to protect the two genin as he shielded himself. When the light died down, the two were gone. The two searched the area, but they did not see any sight of the two. That's when someone landed near them. They were both about to launch an attack when the man talked. "Naruto-kun, Jiraiya dono, ease yourselves. It is I, Maido-gai," he called out. The two just sighed in annoyance. A small group of Kurama clan ninja were making their way toward the compound where Tenzin was. Leading them was Ankai. His mission was clear. He was to save Zabuza for Haku. He had two plans to use to do that. The first was to pay the man for Zabuza. If that did not work, they were going to take him. He had already gone over the plan with each clan member and Haku. As they continued on, Yukumo and Haku were conversing. "I must thank you again, Yukumo, for your help. I'm curious, however, how is your sensei doing?" Haku asked. "I don't think I've seen her like this worried. I know that she liked Kakashi a little bit, but she's really devastated. Let's hope that Naruto can bring back Tsunade-sama to heal him. However, I think that he will be in trouble. I know Sensei's disappointed look and it is not a pretty sight when she shows it," Yukumo explained. "Let's us both hope that Naruto is successful," Haku said. She noticed the somber tone that he gave. She placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. "We will get him out safely, Haku. You have to have faith that we will," Yukumo said softly. "Thank you, Yukumo-chan," Haku said. Yukumo blushed a little from the term he used. Ankai was amused by it but did not say anything. They continued on to Tenzin's castle. Janken was working on his Kurosagama. He was using them to cut into a few straw dummies. He was also working on a new shuriken jutsu that would have everyone talking, even Tenten. As he was going through his kata, someone shouted out his name. He turned to see Naruto's little fan club. The 3 academy students ran up to him. He noticed that the girl was holding a familiar toad. "Hey, what are you pipsqueaks doing with Gamatsu? Is Naruto back already?" he asked them. "Janken, Naruto has a message for you," Gamatsu said. "What's up?" he asked. "A woman named Iiko has gone missing. She might be in trouble. A mission request was sent to Konoha. She was last in Kawa no Kuni," Gamatsu said to him. Janken narrowed his eyes and did not like what he heard. Was that why he didn't receive another letter after he sent a return? He was worried and he needed to do something. He dug into his pocket before tossing the group a roll of Ryo. "Thanks for the message, guys. That's for you to buy treats, but most of it has to go to the toad, understand?" he said. They nodded and Janken was off to the mission department. He hurried as his gut was telling him that something was wrong. In the hut, Iiko was bound and put in the corner. Her face was bruised as it looked like she was slapped around. That's when the door opened and someone stepped inside. She looked at the man and saw that he was drunk just like last time. He glared at her and she glared at him. This made him angry and he reared his hand back, smacking her across the face. While it stung, she did not lose that defiant look on her face. "You're still a bitch, Iiko," the man spat. "And you are still a useless drunk, Shinichi." Janken stood outside the room where the 2 elders were. He had asked for a meeting and he was granted it. He was a little surprised considering the reputation that his team earned, especially when it came to Elder Kaharu. After a while, he was told to enter the mission room. He entered and stood before the 2 elders. They looked at Janken. "You said that you have a request?" Hamura asked. "Yes, I was asking to be put on the squad that has the mission that may have been requested by the manager of the Nico house," Janken said, getting to the point. They checked through the mission's report and did find the request that he was talking about. "Yes, we have assigned Shiranui Genma and Tatami Iwashi to the mission. Is there a reason you wish to join?" Kaharu asked. "It is a personal matter dealing with the person that they are tasked to find. We have been in contact for a few months. It has been this way since we escorted her that one time. I am an excellent tracker and can be helpful in finding her. I will not slow them down in the slightest," Janken said. The elders and a few council members were talking among themselves. After a moment, they faced him. "Very well, we will grant you permission to join. Meet up with Genma and Iwashi in 1 hour. They will be informed of your assistance," Hamura said. "Understood, thank you, elder." With that, Janken left to get prepared. "Come on, kid, how much longer do you plan on not talking to me?" Jiraiya asked. The 2 were back on the road, heading to the next town. Since leaving, Naruto ignored the man. He knew why, but he didn't think he would be this angry. Naruto continued to ignore him. Jiraiya just sighed before speaking again. Okay, yes, I should have mentioned that a group of S-rank criminals are after you for the kickbee. At the time, I thought it was the right thing to keep it from you, to protect you. Jiraiya explained. Oh yeah, that worked out great. Not only do I have the man who massacred his whole clan after me, I have a former member of the Kiri no Shinobigatanen and Shu with him. Naruto spat. Technically, Kisame was never a member, but that's not the point. You did a good job in trying to escape, and knocking out the Uchiha was a nice bonus. Look Naruto, right now, you aren't strong enough to handle them. After some one-on-one training with me, you will be ready for them. Jiraiya said with a grin. You're not going to just ditch me for a pair of pretty eyes, are you? Naruto asked. I make no promises. After all, I am the gallant Jiraiya. He joked, making Naruto sigh. Don't worry kid, you'll give the Akatsuki hell after some training. Naruto grinned as well, and the two continued their mission. Anko watched over Kakashi as he laid in bed, in a coma. She sighed in frustration as she watched his chest rise and fall. She narrowed her eyes at his prone form. I want to draw my sword and cut you up, you know that. How could you not tell me about a band of S-rank criminals after Naruto? I'm his sensei. I should have been informed. As soon as you wake up and Jiraiya gets back, I'm going to feed you both to my snakes. Anko said with a huff. She took some time to calm herself. Her expression got somber. Just get better stupid. I don't want to lose my reading partner. But that said, Anko stood and left the room. She made her way out of the hospital so that she could take care of the hounds that were still in her apartment. As she exited, Guy came up with Sasuke. Upon seeing her, Sasuke broke free from Guy and got within Anko's personal space. Hey, I have an issue with your loser of a genin. Sasuke snarled. Anko gave him a look. I don't know you're talking about. I have no losers on my team. She said. That stupid blonde had no business stopping me from my vengeance. Itachi was in my grasp. My clan could have been satisfied. My ambition could have been fulfilled and it isn't because that loser got in my way. Sasuke shouted. What are you talking about? You look like that ass end of a beating. From your bruises and that broken wrist, you didn't even come close to killing Itachi. What make you think that a child with only 6 months of ninja experience could kill a shinobi who has had 12? An Anbu at the age 11, captain soon after, and you believe that you could have killed him. You're living in a dream world kid. Kakashi should have taught you better than that. Anko said and walked away from him. Sasuke was seething. How dare this woman tell him such things? If I see him again, I'm going to hurt him badly. Sasuke exclaimed threateningly. Anko stopped and turned around to face him. By the look on her face, she did not look happy. Excuse me? She asked softly. If I see Naruto again, I'm going to hurt him. I will end his career as a ninja. He spat loudly. Everyone around them was stunned at the fury that Sasuke expressed. They were also shocked at how evil he sounded when he threatened Naruto. A few actually believed that he would keep his word, and that scared them. That's when Sasuke felt pain like he has never felt before. He spat out blood as Anko's knee was driven into his chest. She drove her elbow onto his back, slamming him into the ground. That's when Anko stomped on his kneecap, snapping it. Sasuke screamed as the pain was unbearable. That's when Anko pulled his hair back and arsed his neck. You have some nerve boy. Anko said with a deadly tone. She gave him a look that promised death. I should slit your throat and let you bleed like a pig, but you still have value to the village and it is the only reason you aren't dead. However, if you threaten any member of my team, if I see you near us, if you even breathe wrong, I will kill you, cut out your eyes and mail them to your brother. Anko then slammed his face into the ground, breaking his nose. Anko stood and walked away, no one was stepping in her way. A few couldn't even blame her for what she did. Sasuke was carefully taken into the hospital to be treated for her injuries. It took 3.5 days to reach the island where Tenzin was living. When they entered the town, eyes were already on them. It only took a few hours before Unkai was summoned by the crime lord. Unkai stood before the man and was surrounded by his men. He looked on and saw the Kubikirabacho at his side. So, what is a Konoha team doing in my city? Tenzin demanded. We are not here to cause any trouble. You are not on our radar. My name is Kurama Unkai and I am here on behalf of our ward, Haku. Unkai said. Haku? Wait a minute, that masked kid who was with Zabuza. He's with you? Tenzin asked. Yes, he is under our protection and our banner. I know that you would not come after him while he is a Konoha shinobi. That would not make good business sense. Unkai said, earning a snarl from the crime lord. What do you want? Tenzin demanded. I'm here to offer you a deal Tenzin. We know that you have Mamachi Zabuza as your prisoner. We, of the Kurama clan, are here to pay for his freedom. We are willing to pay the amount that his bounty is reported in the bingo book. Unkai explained. Ah, that's pretty funny. Why would I do that when I have already made a deal with Kiri? They plan to pay double what you're offering. Still, I am a reasonable man. If you are willing to pay triple, I might be inclined to listen. Tenzin said with a grin. I'm sorry to say that will not happen. Do you truly believe that I am a man to be messed with, Tenzin? You are nothing but a two-bit thug who got his power through greed and misdeeds. A former member of the Water Daimyo's court reduced to being nobody. Am I supposed to tremble? Ankai asked. Tenzin lost his grin and glared at the man. You just made a grave mistake. Tenzin said and motioned his men to attack. As they closed in, several vines erupted from the ground and ensnared everyone, including Tenzin. Ankai walked up to Tenzin and looked him in the eyes. You had your chance. Ankai said before vanishing. Once he was gone, the vines vanished as well. Tenzin looked around and saw no damage around him. He figured out that it must have been one of those illusions. Breathing hard and angry, Tenzin shot up with a start. Find these bastards and kill them all. Bring Zabuza here now. I will finish this once and for all. He shouted. Everyone scrambled to do as they were told. Zabuza was dragged before Tenzin. The man looked beat up and his bandages used as a mask were now gone. Forced to his knees, the man looked at his tormentor without fear. The crime lord was pacing angrily. What's the matter, Tenzin? Having troubles? Zabuza asked mockingly. Not as much as you are about to have. I have decided to cancel my deal with Yugura. Tenzin said. That isn't such a good idea. Yugura isn't someone you cancel on. Zabuza explained. Don't worry, I have a good relationship with Yugura. I am supplying his side after all. I think he will forgive me if I just kill you now. I will just give him your head and your sword. Tenzin spat. Snapping his fingers, one of his men grabbed the kubikirabacho. He made his way in front of the kneeling Zabuza and stood in front of him. Well, I'm glad that you decided to use my sword. I prefer it that way. Zabuza said. Tenzin sneered at his smile. The henchman raised a large cleaver in the air. That's when Zabuza launched himself at the man while the sword was in the air. He bit into his neck while freeing his hands, which were bound. Ripping out the man's throat, Zabuza caught the kubikirabacho as it fell. The blade hit the ground with a thud only because Zabuza's injuries. Tenzin and the men around him were shocked and in awe at what just happened. What the hell? How did you free yourself? Flashback. Sitting in his cage, a worn Zabuza was just waiting. Tenzin told him about the deal he made with Yugura before he was called away. He knew that the end was coming. As he waited, he heard something. It was the sound of a body hitting the ground. He carefully stood up and looked to see what was going on. That's when the air shimmered in front of him and he received a surprise. Haku? He asked. He looked behind him to see that girl from Nami no Kuni. He ignored her for now and turned back to Haku. How did you know I was here? Konoha's intelligence learned of your capture. How were you taken by Tenzin? Haku asked. He hired a group from Kumo to capture me. They sent their Hellcat after me. So why are you here? Zabuza asked. You know why, Zabuza-sama. Despite serving a new master, it was you who saved me. You are my most precious person in the world. Haku said and handed him a small key. With that done, the two vanished, leaving no trace of their presence. Zabuza looked at the key before using his sharp teeth to make a cut on his hand. He tucked the key under his skin and waited. Something told him that he should be ready. Present, you shouldn't concern yourself about the how, Tenzin. Zabuza said before raising his blade. He unleashed his killer intent, a vision of a demon appearing behind him. You should be concerned about what is about to happen now. With that, the Kurigakure no Kijin, demon of the hidden mist, launched his attack. The Kurama ninja and Haku waited in the area that they believed that Zabuza would come through. They all saw the collapse of Tenzin's castle. They all felt the chakra of Zabuza and had no illusions that Tenzin was now dead. It would not be long when Zabuza walked into the area. The Konoha shinobi prepared themselves as a percussion. Zabuza ignored them to face Haku. I'm glad that you are okay, Zabuza-sama. Haku said with a bow. Zabuza just looked at him for a while. Well, despite it all, you are still my tool. You did your duties as I would expect from you. He said. Haku smiled at his words. Yukumo scoffed at what she heard. Still an insensitive ass, Yukumo muttered. Zabuza turned his attention to her and narrowed his eyes. Yukumo did the same, showing no fear of the man. That's when everyone heard a giggle. I like her. She has some spunk. A female voice said. Everyone pulled out their weapons and grouped up. That's when a very beautiful woman stepped out of the darkness. She had ankle-length auburn hair styled into a herringbone pattern with bangs. One of them was covering one of her green eyes. She was wearing a blue battle kimono that covered her mesh clothing. Upon seeing her, Zabuza went white as a sheet. Haku also looked afraid of this woman. This made the Kurama members wonder what was going on. Hello, Zabuza. She said sweetly. Detarum plus ma, Zabuza said with fear. There weren't many things that scared Mamachi Zabuza. He was the Kurigakure no Kijin, demon of the mist, a man who struck fear into the hearts of men. However, the woman standing in front of him scared him greatly. Terum plus May was, for the lack of a term, scary as hell. What scared the most was the fact that her smile was not genuine. He knew that she would kill him on the spot. The only thing was, why was she waiting? Why are you here, Mei? What do you want? Zabuza asked carefully. Is that any way to talk to the person who orchestrated your rescue? Mei asked cheerfully. Everyone looked surprised by that. Yes, I was the one who arranged this. That's when Ankai looked at her with wide eyes. You found out that Haku was now a Konoha ninja. Yukumo and Haku looked at him. Murakumo looked more into that information. Before we left, he informed me that the information came out of Mizuno Kuni. I thought it was strange and promised to be on alert. He then looked at Mei. If you think that we will allow you to kill Haku or Zabuza, oh, you misunderstand me. I'm not here for Haku at all. I only want Zabuza. Mei answered. Everyone was confused. From what I can see, Haku seems very happy in Konoha. I think that he needed to get away from this man to live a normal life. I was always fond of the boy and I am happy that your clan has not mistreated or misused him. However, I know how much the boy cared for Zabuza and he was my only way to get Zabuza free without revealing my part in it. You're leading the rebellion, aren't you? Zabuza asked. You catch on quick. Mei said with a smile. Why would I ever help you? He asked. Well, you have two choices really. You can help me and get into my good graces with each passing day, or I could just melt your balls off and make you. For all of your strength Zabuza, you are not as strong as me. You know what I am capable of Zabuza and you will not let you escape a second time. Mei said. Zabuza weighed his options. On one hand, he could fight for his freedom, but he knew that Mei would not hesitate in killing everyone around him just to kill him. With a growl, he nodded to her. Mei just smiled coyly. Very good, you have made the right decision. Mei turned to the Konoha shinobi. I hope that it will not be an issue. I can offer some compensation to the Kurama clan for this. We will be in contact if anything comes up. Ankai said nervously. Very well. Come along Zabuza, we have work to do. Mei ordered. I'm not your freaking dog Mei, and I will not be treated as such. Zabuza snarled. Excuse me? Mei said sweetly. Zabuza tensed up and scoffed. He just walked off and passed Mei. Mei turned to Yukumo and smiled. Take care of Haku. Do invite me to the wedding. With that, Mei followed Zabuza. Everyone was standing there for a while before they turned their attention to Haku. The teen saw that they wanted answers. With a sigh, Haku began to explain. Well, Zabuza and Mei used to be comrades. That is until Zabuza laughed at her. He told her despite the fact that she was beautiful now, her looks would fade, her attitude was unbearable, and that no man would want to marry her. He also called her hairstyle stupid and that she was chubby. She destroyed a part of Kurigakure trying to kill him. It took 2 platoons to stop her and she was suspended for the amount of collateral damage that she created. People were hurt in her rampage. Haku explained. Everyone just blinked at him before there was a collective sigh. They all decided to make the trip back home. It took a while, but Naruto and Jiraiya now had a pinpoint location on Tsunade. While they were searching for her, Jiraiya worked with Naruto, refining his skills and teaching him some new ones. Naruto was able to do the Rasengan with one hand, but it was still for a short time. He still formed it slow, and it would only keep its form for 2 minutes. While it was an improvement, it still could cost him in a fight. Jiraiya helped him with his Fuinjutsu and Ninjutsu. He taught him 2 new jutsu, both were Doten. In all it was good training. They entered the town where they knew that she was. They began their search for the blonde. So, instead of looking for an old woman, we are looking for someone who in their 30s. That's so vain of her. Naruto commented. Well, don't tell her that. She's likely to smear you all over the walls for that comment. Anyway, we should start. Jiraiya was cut off when he watched as a castle was just destroyed. Naruto looked on as well with wide eyes. The two looked at each other before running toward the destruction. When they arrived, they saw the place in rubble. The two quickly investigated and saw some type of skin. Naruto saw the skin and recognized it. The two realized that they needed to find Tsunade fast. Tsunade, a beautiful blonde, was sitting at a table with her assistant, Shizune, and her pet pig, Tauntaun. She needed a drink after what happened earlier. She allowed herself to be dragged around by Shizune who wanted to see the castle. That's when it was destroyed by Orochimaru who was riding a snake. He was with 2 people. They were both kids, the blonde around 13. Orochimaru was there to make a deal and to gloat about his success of killing Hiruzen. That pissed her off and she showed it by smashing the wall. She gave Orochimaru until the count of 5 to leave. That's when he said that he could bring back Dan and Nawaki. It stunned her and she stopped her count. Orochimaru gave her until the end of the week to decide. The 3 left and she was standing there, considering his deal. She knew of the jutsu that Orochimaru was talking about. It worried her that Orochimaru had that type of power. However, if she got to see her loved ones again, would it be worth it? Her thought suddenly got interrupted by another familiar voice. Hello Tsunade, you're looking lovely as ever. Jiraiya greeted. She noticed the small blonde with him and was curious as to who he was. Jiraiya then turned his attention to Shizune. Shizune, you have certainly grown in all the right places. For Kami's sake, would you please stop flirting with every woman you come across? You've been alone for 51 years and it isn't going to change. The blonde said. It earned him a glare from the man and a chuckle from Tsunade. You're so lucky that I need you for this brat. Jiraiya spat. He then turned his attention back to Tsunade. Ignore him, he doesn't know the meaning of manners. He took a seat across from him. I don't know. He seems okay to me. What is he? You take another apprentice or something? She asked. Let's just say that he's an interesting project at the moment and leave it at that. Anyway, I have something important to ask you. He said. If it is your usual question, then the answer is no. Tsunade said. It isn't that. I'm assuming that you know about Hirazen's passing. The elders and I have decided to ask you to take up the position of Hokage. What do you say? Jiraiya asked. Tsunade gave him a look before smirking at him. Me, become Hokage? Not a chance in hell. The Hokage position is a joke and only fools would take it. Tsunade said with humor. Naruto didn't like how she worded that but did not say anything. Jiraiya didn't look like he was surprised by her reply. I'm sorry to hear that, but you are the only one who can be Hokage. He said. I'm not going to take up the position. Like I said, it is a fool's position to take. All of the past Hokages didn't even live until old age. They all died in horrible ways, leaving their families to mourn them. Even those who would run for the title end up dying early. Even though Sensei lived a long life, did he die a peaceful one? No, he died by the sword of one of his students. I refuse to take up that position that has caused me to lose so many loved ones. You've wasted your time in coming here. Tsunade said. So, what you are saying is that it is foolish to die protecting the thing that you love? Naruto asked seriously. Tsunade looked at him and saw that he was angry. She didn't worry about it and just smirked at him. No, that's not what I said. I just think that if you don't want to live a short life then you don't become Hokage. She said. So, your grandfather and granduncle were fools for taking up the hat. Your grandfather, who died protecting you and everyone you loved during the outbreaks of fighting, was a fool. Your granduncle, who died to save the old man and his friends from death during the First Ninja World War, was a fool. The old man, who gave his life to stop Konoha from being burnt to the ground, was a fool. The Yondaime, who saved the village from the Kikbi, was a fool. Naruto asked. That's not what I said, brat. You are putting words in my mouth and I don't appreciate it. Tsunade said with a tone. Why don't you keep your damn mouth shut, you old hag? Naruto roared. Jiraiya sighed while Shizune was starting to get scared. Excuse me? Tsunade said dangerously. Who the hell are you to tear down their sacrifices like that? What the hell have you done that was so freaking special that you can talk like that? Oh, I revolutionize how all medicine is used. I was the reason that Konoha survived the Second Ninja World War. Big deal. The second everything started falling apart for you, you just up and ran. You're not a member of the once great Senju. You're a disappointment to the history of your clan's power. A joke to every gambling house you owe money to. Naruto shouted. You disrespectful little punk, how dare you say that to me? Tsunade demanded loudly, standing up and looking at him with rage. Naruto jumped on the table and got in her face. I say it because it is true. You're no legendary Kunoichi. You're a fraud, milking your ancestors' name for all it is worth. You know something, I'm glad that you turned it down. Konoha is a village of heroes who gave their lives for the village they love. You're nothing but a scared over-the-hill hag with stupid personal issues that probably happened years ago. You're a ninja, start acting like one. Naruto spat in her face. Tsunade couldn't believe the balls of this kid to say that to her face. Well, that wasn't going to stand for long. You think that you're so tough, brat, why don't we take this outside and I'll show you just how over the hill I am. Tsunade said. Bring it on, bitch. Naruto said, accepting her challenge. The two blondes stormed out of the bar. With a sigh and with worry, Jiraiya, Shizune and Taunton made their way after them. Janken looked at the scene where they were directed by the Baron. He should have decked the fat bastard for what he said about Iiko. The little coward just handed her to the bandits after he was attacked. Lucky for them, he remembered where he was attacked. They searched the area, looking for clues. That's when Janken found a clue that he did not like. Genma and Iwashi came up to him. You find something, kid? Genma asked. There were at least 4 attackers, only one of them was a shinobi. They took whatever they could carry on Iiko and moved east. They probably stopped somewhere but are on the move again. If I had to guess, they are probably making their way to the north. You got that all from these marks? Iwashi asked. Yeah, because I know at least one of the bandits. Janken said with a growl. Genma and Iwashi were confused. How much further do we have to travel, Shinichi? Asked one of the bandits. Only 2 more days. Once we reach, we'll pawn all the jewels and sell this bitch off. Shinichi said with a drunken slur. Seems like a shame that we have to give her up. Said another bandit, leering at her. Trust me, the bitch is more trouble than you know. Shinichi spat. Why is that, Shinichi? Is it because you weren't man enough when we met? Is it because I never submitted to you like all the others? Iiko said. You know damn well why, you bitch. You saddle me up with that kid. Shinichi shouted. And I regret it every day. I am just happy that Janken is away from you and a much better man. Iiko said calmly. Oh, you think that, huh? Well, guess what, Iiko? I'm going to find that failure of a son and I'm going to kill that brat for what he did to me. After I kill him, I'm going to bring you his head as a present. What do you have to say about that? Shinichi said. Iiko glared at him hate-loathing. Shinichi turned his attention back to the road. Iiko could only keep a brave face on. Tsunade looked at Naruto, who was stretching. The woman looked at him amused. I can't believe that you are getting serious about this. You know that I'm a Jonin, right, one of the Sannin. I'm not going to be using much of my strength. In fact, I'll only use one finger to beat you. Tsunade said. Fine with me. It's only going to make my victory that much sweeter. Naruto said. I would take the kid seriously, princess. He's been trained by me and someone else. Jiraiya commented. Like that's going to. Tsunade was cut off when she was struck. She took a step back and turned to see Naruto jump back to where he was standing. She rubbed her jaw and moved it around before turning her attention back to Naruto. That cheap shot is gonna cost you, brat. She said dangerously. We're shinobi. There's no such thing as cheap shots. Naruto answered. Tsunade narrowed her eyes and rushed him. She poised her finger to flick his forehead. Naruto quickly dodged and unsealed his staff. He hit her in the back of her calf and thrust one of the ends to her side. Tsunade easily stopped it with her finger and pushed. Naruto was surprised when he hit a wall. Tsunade charged at him, but Naruto quickly did some hand seals. Just as Tsunade did the flick, Naruto disappeared. Tsunade looked around before thrusting her finger into the ground. It split the ground in two, revealing Naruto. Got you now, brat. Tsunade said with a grin. Got who now, hag? A voice said next to her, surprising her. Doten. Doric Taiga, Earth Release. Earth Flow River. Tsunade cried out as she was sent away by the flowing river. Naruto did some more seals. Suiton. Mizurappa, Water Release. Wild Water Wave. Tsunade was sent farther down the street due to the powerful water wave. She ended up quite a distance from the blonde. Tsunade coughed up some water and got to her feet. She was covered in mud and soaking wet. Shizune was stunned by this. Jiraiya was drooling and writing in his pad furiously. Naruto was laughing his ass off. So, how's that single finger thing working out for you? Naruto mocked. That was probably the worst thing to do. Tsunade launched herself in the air, her leg raised high in the air, her eyes brimming with fury. Feeling danger, Naruto jumped out of the way. Tsunade's leg connected with the ground and caused an explosion. Naruto watched wide-eyed as the ground was turned over and a few buildings received damage. While most of these buildings were unoccupied, it did little to calm the blonde. Holy shit. Naruto cursed before he was hit from behind by Tsunade. Naruto sped into and through the wall of a building. Groaning in pain, he saw a shadow cast over him. He turned around in time to see the fist that would kill him. Thank Kami that Jiraiya interfered. Okay, the match is over. Jiraiya said seriously, holding Tsunade's wrist. He then looked at Naruto and his amusement returned. Good job, kid, you beat on of the Sannin. What? Like hell he did. Tsunade exclaimed. What did you say earlier? I'll only use one finger to beat you. You open palm slap disqualifies you, Haim. Guess you title extends to fights as well. Jiraiya said mockingly. Tsunade swiped her wrist away from him and snarled at him. She then turned her attention to Naruto and got angrier. She couldn't believe how easily he riled her up. I want a rematch. She demanded loudly. Maybe after my back heals. Naruto said smugly. You smug little, Tsunade so wanted to slap him. With a huff, she spun around and stormed off. Shizune and Taunton quickly followed her. Jiraiya just smirked before facing his student. I think that went pretty well. Jiraiya said. Naruto just gave him a dirty look. The Kurama clan members entered Konoha. Ankai told everyone to go home and relax while he reported in. Yukumo asked Haku out for ramen and he accepted. They made their way to Ichiraku's and sat down. They chatted while they waited for their food. Just as they were about to get their bowls, a loud voice called out Yukumo's name. Turning around, the pink-haired Kunoichi of Team Kakashi was in her face. You're part of that crazy woman's team, right? She shouted. Yukumo's ears kind of hurt and she had to dig out her ear. She then hit Sakura with a glare that backed her off some. She stood up and faced her. I don't know who you are and I really don't care. However, if you get in my face like that again, I'm seriously going to hurt you. Now, what do you want? Yukumo demanded. Sakura gathered up her courage to speak. Your sensei is screwed up in the head. Do you know what she did to Sasuke? Why she isn't in jail baffles me. Sakura shouted. Yukumo looked really confused until AM spoke. Anko is under review by the council. Right now, she is suspended from duty. She explained. For what? Yukumo asked. Uchiha Sasuke threatened to hurt Naruto and Anko broke his kneecap plus broke his nose. While many shinobi are on her side, she was suspended. Am said. Yukumo and Haku was stunned at what she just said. That's when Sakura got smug. I hope she's removed. We don't need her as a part of Konoha's forces. That's when Sakura was hit with some very strong killing intent. Yukumo's head died a full turn and her face were in a ghostly image. Sakura was scared shitless. You need to leave, now. Sakura took off and Yukumo undid her genjutsu. She apologized to Haku and Am, who understood and went in search of her sensei. Shinichi was pacing around, a sake bottle in his hand. His parents just looked at him and were getting annoyed. Will you just relax? We got here late and we'll just have to wait until morning. One of them said. Don't tell me to relax. I just want to get my cut and leave. Shinichi snarled. What is your problem? Did that woman really get to you? Another said mockingly. If her boss goes to Konoha, we are all in trouble, especially me. I'm not going back to that village and get put in jail again. Shinichi stated. He took a swig of his sake and continued to pace around. His nerves starting to get to him. He didn't know why, but he felt that something bad was about to happen. That's when one of his partners stood up. He made his way to the room where Iiko was held. Where the hell are you going? I figured that I should at least test the merchandise. You got any objections? The bandit asked. Shinichi scoffed at his questions. Just don't leave any marks on her. The less bruises the better. Shinichi said. The man just grinned and opened the door, only to see two angry eyes. The hand grabbed the bandit. Raiden. Back your eye, lightning release. Depth charge. The bandit screamed as several volts went through his body. The other bandits and Shinichi were stunned by the scream. That's when Genma burst through the window. He launched the senbon in his mouth, which hit a nerve point on one of the bandits, freezing him in place. The other reached for a weapon on to be slammed to the ground by Iwashi. Shinichi was stunned when two people stepped out from the room. Seeing who it was made him snarl. You little brat, Shinichi snarled. Give it up, Shinichi. Make this easy on yourself. Genma said. Shinichi ignored him and glared at Janken and Iiko. Still ruining my life, the both of you. My life was all good before I met you two. Do you know who she is to you? Shinichi snarled. Janken ignored him and gave him a flat look. She's the bitch that left you on my doorstep. She abandoned you. That whore you just saved is my mother. Yeah, I figured that out a month ago. Janken stated. This surprised everyone in the room. Why you knew? Iiko asked nervously. Don't worry, Anko-sensei didn't tell me. I figured it out during my training for the finals. We can talk about it later. Janken said. He turned his attention to Shinichi. You heard Genma-senpai. Surrender, Shinichi, you're outmatched. Shinichi was snarling, foaming at the mouth. He could not contain his anger any longer. He tossed his sake bottle and smashed it with a kunai. He then threw a lighter at the liquid, igniting it. Shinichi jumped through the other window when they were distracted. He landed on the ground sloppy and tried to get to his feet. He got up to see Janken across from him. Get out of my way, boy. He shouted. Why don't you make me, bitch? Janken challenged. Shinichi pulled out a blade and charged. He thrust the blade but missed, getting a smack to the head. Shinichi turned around and wildly slashed at Janken. He dodged every slash with ease. Janken ducked under another slash before acting. He caught his forearm and brought his elbow down on it, breaking it and forcing him to drop the blade. Shinichi tried to punch him, but Janken avoided the blow and slammed a palm strike into his shoulder hard. He then swept Shinichi and drove him into the ground, putting all his power on Shinichi's shoulder, breaking it as well. Shinichi was rolling on the ground in pain. He glared at Janken and tried to kick him, but Janken jumped into the air and landed in his knees. Shinichi was roaring in as Janken stood on his knees with all his weight. Janken stared down at him, pulling out his kusurigama. He looked into the eyes of the man that tormented him for most of his life. He would be justified in his actions to kill him. That's when he heard a gasp. He turned to see Iiko and the two jonin with the three bandits. She gave him a concerned look. Janken sighed and put his weapons. He got off Shinichi's knees and knelt down to look at the man in the eyes. I should end your pathetic life for all the shit you put me through. You say I put you through hell. You were a loser to begin with. You just took your insecurities out on an innocent child because anyone else would have beaten your ass like it was nothing. Wiping you out, I would be doing the world a favor. The only reason I don't is because I'm a bigger man than you are. I hope you enjoy jail. Janken said and walked away. He ignored the hateful words that spewing from Shinichi's mouth. Janken just made sure that Iiko was okay. The Konoha shinobi began their journey to Kawa no Kuni, land of rivers, early in the morning to drop off Shinichi and his partners. Genma and Iwashi were able to get a wagon to carry the four. The two jonin were watching the bandits while Iiko and Janken rode in front. The two were silent for most of the ride. That's when Iiko began to speak. "So, you've known who I was since your training?" Iiko asked softly. Janken gathered his thoughts before speaking. "There's this annoying girl who is a comrade of mine. She was my training partner for the exams. It was when you sent me your last letter that she mentioned that it was kind of weird that a random client would try to connect with me. I ignored it for a while, but it just kept nagging me. That mission, I didn't make that much of an impression. I was a huge jerk for most of the trip. Why did you want to know about me?" "It just made sense that you were my mother," Janken explained. "I see. I guess you must want answers and for me to stop writing you?" Iiko asked. "Why would you stop?" Janken asked, surprising her a little. "I thought you wanted to get to know me." I do. I just assumed that because of what I did to you, leaving you with that man, you would hate me." Iiko explained. "Remember what you told me about your father? You forgave him for his actions, right? You made the first step to know me and I get to know you. It'll be awkward, but I think we will manage. Also, it feels nice writing to you," Janken said with a small blush. Iiko smiled, but she turned her attention back to the road. "Thank you for coming to my rescue. Anytime." The trip continued in a comfortable, happy silence. Tsunade was grumbling and the sake wasn't helping to calm her. Not only did she lose to that blonde brat on a technicality, but his words from earlier was still swimming in her head. What right did that brat have to judge her like that? He knew nothing about her pain or suffering. That little jerk had not right to judge her. Suddenly, someone took a seat next to her. She didn't need to turn to see who it was. "Oh, you changed clothes. That's no fun," Jiraiya said with a whine. "I swear to Kami, if I'm in your book," Tsunade warned. "I don't have a death wish." Jiraiya joked. "Then if you don't mind, I would like to be alone," Tsunade said with a tone. "Oh, I will, but before I do," that's when Jiraiya became serious, surprising Tsunade. "Why don't you tell me about your talk with Orochimaru?" Tsunade and Jiraiya looked at each other for a while before Tsunade scoffed at the question. "I don't know what you're talking about," Tsunade said before drinking. That's when she felt a small amount of intent thrown her way. She turned to see that Jiraiya was not amused with the answer she gave. "This isn't the time to be playing around, Tsunade. I know that Orochimaru saw you before I did. Why else would he be here? What did he want?" Jiraiya demanded. "You have some nerve threatening me," Tsunade said with a warning tone. "We aren't kids anymore, Tsunade. Don't think that because of your pedigree means anything to me. You are not your grandfather or your granduncle. You have wasted away your skills if Naruto was able to do that to you. If it came down to it, I would win and you know it. I'm going to ask you one more time, what did Orochimaru want from you?" Jiraiya demanded harshly. Tsunade realized that he was serious and decided to talk. "He came to gloat about killing Sensei. He made me an offer, but I don't think it is worth my time," Tsunade said calmly. Jiraiya looked at her in her eyes. He knew that she was hiding something, but she would not tell him. He just decided to keep a closer eye on her. He took out some money and put it on the counter. He stood and walked off. Before he disappeared, he said one more thing. "Tsunade, if you betray Konoha, I will kill you." With that, Jiraiya walked away. Tsunade turned back to her drink. However, she did not feel like drinking anymore. Naruto took a few deep breaths before doing the hand seals that he remembered from the scroll. He took a deep breath after forming the seals. Pain. Karakenden. Fire release. Fire dragon flame bullet. Naruto launched a large flame at a large stump. It hit the stump and turned it into ash. Naruto cut the chakra after a while and waited for the flames to die down. When it did, he looked at the damage he created. He smirked at what he did. "Heh, it isn't like the old man's, but it's getting there. That is impressive, Naruto-kun," a voice said. Naruto turned around to see Tsunade's assistant Shizune. She gave him a smile and Naruto scratched his head. "Heh, how long have you been standing there?" he asked. "Not long." "That was a very impressive Kaiten. If I remember correctly it is one of the Sandames," Shizune said. "Yeah, Asuma sensei gave to me as a present. Told me that the old man would want to give it to me seeing that I kind of take after him," Naruto said with a kind tone. "That's a very sweet thing to say, Naruto. I am sorry about his passing." "So, what else are you trying to learn?" she asked. "Well," Naruto began but stopped when he saw someone that he wasn't too happy to see. Shizune turned around to see her master. Tsunade just looked at the two before looking at the damage. She was impressed, but she would not say anything about it. She turned her attention back to the two. "Come on, Shizune, we're turning in for the night," Tsunade said. She didn't wait for an answer and walked away. Shizune sighed at her behavior, but she wasn't about to say anything. "I guess that this is goodbye. I'll see you around, Naruto," Shizune said. The two waved goodbye to each other and Naruto turned back to his training. It took a few days for the team to arrive back to the village. Janken had left Iiko back at her place. The two had a good talk and learned a bit about each other. He was still getting used to the escort thing, but his judging was disappearing. They promised to keep in touch with each other. He dragged Shinichi through the gates. They dropped his partners off at the capital, but Janken wanted Shinichi to face Konoha justice again. His reason for it that he would not be getting out this time. The Anbu came to collect him and take him to prison. They gave each other a final glare before Shinichi was dragged off to whatever fate was waiting for him. After giving their report to the council, Janken was going to get some well-deserved rest. He left the tower only to run into Team Guy. "Janken, where the hell have you been?" Tenten demanded loudly. "And hello to you two buns," Janken said sarcastically. This earned him a slap upside the head and a glare. "Don't get snippy with me. I've been looking for you for weeks," she shouted. "Well, I was on a mission." "What the hell is your problem?" Janken asked. "It's your sensei. She's been suspended and might be removed from the ninja forces." Tenten explained. "Say what? What are you talking about?" Janken demanded. It was Niji who spoke. "Uchiha Sasuke threatened your teammate, Naruto, and he paid for it. Your sensei broke his kneecap and broke his nose. The council believes that she went too far and has suspended her from duty. Many who are for Sasuke are attempting to get her removed permanently. Many of the shinobi are not going to allow it, including Guy Sensei." He explained. "Where is she now?" Janken asked. "She's with Yukumo at her apartment," Tenten said. Janken thanked them and quickly made their way over to her place. He knocked and waited for someone to answer. It was Anko, who was surprised to see him. "Oh, you're back so soon," Anko said. "We'll discuss that later, but I heard about what is going on. Why aren't we getting back at this Uchiha kid? There's nothing we can do. If we retaliate, Sensei is just going to get into more trouble. Right now, we can only hope that the new Hokage will be willing to listen," Yukumo explained. "New Hokage? That's who the pipsqueak is going to bring back, right? Maybe that will work in our favor," Janken said. "This is Naruto we are talking about. When has he ever done anything that didn't piss someone off?" Anko asked with amusement. The two sighed at that as it was the truth of it all. "Look, I'm not worried about the Uchiha kid. They aren't going to win this fight because that's what is going to happen, a fight. I'm Anko, baby, no council can keep me down." The two students looked at their laughing sensei and only got more worried. Naruto was making his way back to his training. He felt that he could get the Karakenden more powerful. He was going to keep training with the technique until he could fully mastered it. It was the least he could do for his sensei. As he made his way, he caught sight of someone that made him narrow his eyes. It was Kabuto and he was alone. What was he doing here without his team? He didn't like the guy due to what he knew about him during the first stage of the exams. He wondered if Ibiki got the message about him. Naruto decided to follow the man to see where he was going. He kept to the shadows as he followed him. He watched him stop and look at something from the roof. He made his way closer and saw Orochimaru with Tsunade standing in front of him. That's when he heard the pale man talk about reviving her loved ones for restoring his arms. He was stunned when it looked like that she was about to do it. Well, he wasn't about to let that happen. He was about to pull out a kunai only to be stopped when a serpent wrapped around him. The snake hissed at him and a familiar face appeared. "Well, who knew that this trip would be worthwhile? How have you been, Naruto-kun?" Maidashi asked with a smile. "Maidashi, not that I'm not happy to see you, but I have a traitor to deal with," Naruto said. "I wouldn't worry about that woman betraying your village. I do think that she is a shell of her former self, but with the amount of chakra she is using, she'll kill Orochimaru. She'd be doing me a favor. So let's just sit back and let the old folks do their thing. Actually, I was wondering if you can help me with something," she said. "You know that I'm just going to refuse," he stated. "Okay, come on, it's a small little request." They both turned to see that Kabuto stopped Tsunade from her task. "Damn him," he interrupted her. "He's on your side." "Huh? Oh yeah, he's been a spy all along. In fact, he used to belong to that Dansum guy before Orochimaru took him in. He might be skilled, but he's a total tool." "Well, thanks for the information. Sorry about this." Naruto suddenly blew out some smoke that covered them. The snake loosened its hold, giving Naruto a chance to escape. Naruto jumped out of the smoke and landed on the roof. He jumped off, landing in between the two. He quickly called on the Kikbi's chakra and did the hand seals. Karakenden. A huge flame erupted out of his mouth and consumed the alley. Naruto added more chakra, turning the flame a hot white. The alley was consumed in flames. Naruto ended his jutsu and waited for the flames to die down. Tsunade looked at the damage in surprise. Stone was melting and the ground was unusable. Whatever plant life was there was now gone with the fire. She turned her attention to the blonde only to be slapped in the face by him. She looked at him with shock as he glared at her. "You are one of the most stupid people I've ever met. What the hell were you thinking? You really was considering taking that bastard's deal. He killed the old man, our sensei, and you were just going to give him back his arms. If you really want to see your loved ones again, then just kill yourself." you'll be doing the world a favor. Naruto shouted at her. He quickly spun around to deflect several shuriken and toss his kunai. It was easily caught by Kabuto. Naruto unsealed his staff and got into a stance. I guess we were right about you. You got away before Ibiki could do his investigation. Naruto said. So, it was your team that blew my cover. That is kind of embarrassing that I was discovered by Anko's team. Kabuto said. You shouldn't have given out that information that you, a genin, shouldn't have. Sloppy work for a pro with years of experience. Naruto said. That's when Maidashi appeared. Now that wasn't nice, Naruto-kun. You could have warned me that you were going to do that. She said. I did say sorry. Naruto said. So, Sarutobi Sensei took on the Jinchuriki as a student. An impressive display of that jutsu. It will be hard to master. Orochimaru said. Yeah, well, I'm up to the challenge. I don't run away or betray my village just because I didn't get the position I wanted. Naruto commented. You know nothing, boy, and you should have stayed out of this. Orochimaru said with amusement. Naruto just readied himself for a fight. That's when he was slapped from behind and driven into the ground. He quickly got to his feet and faced the person who did it. The hell is your problem, Naruto shouted. You're my problem. How dare you talk to me like that? You don't know shit about me, and I won't be judged by some wet behind the ears brat. Tsunade shouted back. Well, excuse me, lady, who the hell was about to heal his arms? I was about to kill him. It doesn't excuse you for thinking about it for the past week. If that doesn't make you a traitor, I don't know what does. I may not like the village, but I'm loyal to it. Now apologize. Screw you. Excuse me. Orochimaru demanded. Shut up. Tsunade shouted at him. Yeah, mind your damn business. Naruto added loudly. A tick mark appeared on the man. The Budo captured Tsunade. Maidashi, kill the brat. He ordered. The two rushed at the two who saw them coming. They turned their attention to them. I hope that you'll be useful, hag. Naruto said. Just stay out of my way, brat. Tsunade countered. The two sides clashed before vanishing. Orochimaru watched as they moved around in flashes, clashing in midair. He watched as Kabuto dodged several bone-crunching blows while Maidashi engaged Naruto with weapons. He kept his eyes on the boy and girl. He figured out that it was this boy who did something with Anko's seal. He knew that it was the blonde due to his fight at the invasion. He was strongly considering and dealing with the boy. Should he ever figure out a way to destroy his mark, his plans would be destroyed. He just hoped that he does not run into his new project. The Budo, Maidashi, let's take this somewhere else. If the boy is here, that means Jiraiya isn't too far behind. He said and vanished. The two followed him as he ran away. Tsunade and Naruto took off, following the three to a new area. Orochimaru stood back and watched. The ground shook as Tsunade's fist made contact with the ground. He saw that Tsunade was breathing hard. He smirked at that. She should have kept up with her training. It wouldn't be long until Kabuto wore her down and disabled her. That's when he turned to the sound of weapons clashing. He watched as the two 13-year-olds were going at it. They slashed, thrust and struck out at each other. He watched with narrowed eyes when Naruto got into the Tetsuzaru no Satansu. Iron Monkey stance, he believed that it was the second form. Maidashi stood also in an advanced form. The two engaged each other again, the pace picking up. It made Orochimaru's eyes narrow. He hated Maidashi a lot. He never liked the power she held. The fact that she could just cancel his connection to the Hibi clan scared him. He already did not have a good standing with the clan. He would have killed the girl, but Manda made it clear that he would destroy him if Maidashi was hurt. The blonde annoyed him. It wasn't just his heritage, it was the fact that his old sensei trained him. It wasn't that he jealous of the boy, but he could become a large thorn in the future. His victory against Maidashi showed him that he could be a pain. He would do something, but it would bring the wrath of his former comrades. Orochimaru hated having his hand tied. He would have to do something about it. Naruto skid to a stop. He was on the defensive as Maidashi charged at him. He parried the sword stab and thrust at Maidashi's head. She moved and lashed out with a kick. It was blocked and Naruto swept her foot. Maidashi spun in midair and landed in a crouch. He lashed out, but Naruto dodged. She shook her sword and slashed. Naruto avoided it, but his weapon was cut in two. Naruto landed at distance and got into his stance. Maidashi just walked around, staring at Naruto and licking her lips. You have done well so far, but now you're unarmed. Are you going to summon your monkey partner? Maidashi asked. Why? Are you going to summon your familiar? Naruto countered. She would sooner strangle me. Anyway, what's your next move? That's when she saw Tsunade drop Kabuto. The boy seemed to be having problems, but he would figure it out. Naruto caught her line of sight and briefly looked to see Tsunade on her knees. Maidashi used this to attack, cutting Naruto down, but the blonde escaped using a Kawarimi no Jutsu, body replacement technique. She then batted a piece of Naruto's staff away only to be kicked in the face. Naruto ran the other way just as Kabuto recovered. That's when he did hand seals. Fuchius no Jutsu. Summoning technique, he shouted. A puff of smoke appeared in front of Tsunade. A webbed arm caught Kabuto's wrist. The smoke cleared to reveal Gamma. Kabuto was stunned until he was tossed in the air. Naruto was on Kabuto and nearly bisected him. Maidashi interrupted by having her sash wrap around his ankle. She slammed him to the ground. Naruto groaned as Maidashi prepared to stab him. That's when she saw Tsunade's fist. Maidashi blocked it with the flat of her sword but was still sent flying away. She tumbled a few feet away. She got to her feet but her arms were still shaking. Kabuto joined up with her, as did Orochimaru. They looked across to see the two face them. You two should have just finished them. Your playing around has drawn this out for too long. We now have other guests. Orochimaru said. As soon as he finished, Jiraiya and Shizune arrived. The white-haired ninja turned to his student. You know, that damage you caused, I'm going to have to pay for that, right? Jiraiya said. Well, I had to save her ass. Naruto said. I didn't need you to save me, brat. Tsunade spat. Unappreciative bitch, Naruto muttered. Tsunade glared at him and he returned it. Good to see that you're getting along. Jiraiya said and looked at the three across from them. He focused on the girl who looked back at him with raised eyebrow and a hand on her hips. That's Maidashi, huh? She'll be quite a looker when she gets older. I approve, kid. Maidashi smirked when she heard that. I like him. He's silly. She commented. Really? You have to be a pervert right now? Naruto asked. What? Jiraiya suddenly got serious. Naruto, you're going to have to help me out. My abilities are not at 100%. He said, giving Tsunade a look. Alright, let's get started, Naruto said. Orochimaru just smirked and looked at Maidashi. She sighed and drew blood. She did hand seals and slammed her palms to the ground. From out of the smoke, two large serpents hissed at them. Naruto did the same hand seals and slammed his palm on the ground. The smoke cleared to reveal a toad with two swords. The two prepared for battle. Maidashi was smiling. Well, this is getting good. She said. Jiraiya joined Naruto on the toad's head and looked at Naruto. I need you to watch out for Tsunade. I'll handle Orochimaru and your girlfriend. He said. She's not my girlfriend. Naruto said before jumping off the toad. Jiraiya faced the two and prepared himself. Not to insult you, but I wanted to fight Naruto. Maidashi said. Well, my dear, if you impress me enough, I might convince the boy to take you out on a date. God knows that he needs to live a little. Jiraiya said. Maidashi was thinking about it. Make it 2 dates if I kill you. She said. Come on then. Maidashi and Orochimaru rushed the toad. Naruto made his way over to Tsunade. He arrived just in time to see Tsunade get knocked back by Kabuto. Shizune caught her countered with needles. Kabuto deflected her attack and launched forward. Naruto summoned Sora and had him transform into his Naginata form. He cut Kabuto off. He raised his weapon to slice Kabuto but missed. Naruto stood in front of the two women. He looked to see Tsunade form. What's wrong with her? Naruto asked. Tsunade-sama has hemophobia. She's had it for years. Shizune said. Naruto looked surprised by that before facing Kabuto. The young man was chuckling at them. Such a shame. She is supposed to be this great legend. She's nothing but a disappointment. You agree with me, don't you, Naruto? He asked. My opinion is none of your concern. Naruto said and readied himself. Do you really think that you can defeat me? Not even your sensei can defeat me. I'm on the same level as Kakashi. Kabuto said. We'll see about that. Naruto charged and attacked. Kabuto engaged him. He was fast and easily parried the thrust. He slashed at Naruto who dodged. He twirled his weapon and lashed out. Kabuto jumped over the attack and launched several kunai. Naruto countered with shuriken and fired a ball of fire. Kabuto twisted out of the way and landed. Naruto was on him. Kabuto dodged, blocked or parried Naruto's quick thrusts. However, he did not notice two hands grab him from below. Naruto used the Naginata to propel himself up and launched several kicks. Kabuto blocked all but one that got through. Naruto landed and his cheeks puffed out. Suiton. Miserapa. Water release. Wild water wave, Kabuto was sent flowing away with the water that Naruto spat out. Naruto ended the jutsu, but he could not see Kabuto. His training was the only thing that saved him as he ducked Kabuto's glowing hand. Naruto used Sora and tried to hit him, but Kabuto dodged it before kicking him in the back. He was about to push his attack when 3 clones popped out of the ground. They attacked Kabuto, making him try. They managed to force him to a knee, but Kabuto cut them down. The smoke cleared and he got punched in the jaw. He stumbled a little before getting swept away by a mud river. He was slammed into a boulder. He jumped up and away as several flaming bullets of mud destroyed the boulder. The two faced off again. Kabuto rubbed his jaw. Not bad, Naruto, you definitely caught me with that punch. Still, it was only due to the lucky breaks that you have gotten. Kabuto said. What are you talking about? Naruto asked. Student of the Sandaime Hokage, student of the Gamma, Toad, Senin, Hermit, you've gotten such amazing training you don't deserve. Kabuto stated. Really? Why don't you explain that? The blonde asked. You're really nothing without the training you received. You had no talent early on and because of your tenant, the Hokage showed you sympathy. Jiraiya only trained you because you are both the same. Face it, without those two, you're a second-rate shinobi. Kabuto asked. Wow, that reminded me of Niji just now. So, was I supposed to get angry and attack? So what if I got lucky and then got training from two powerful ninja? It happened and I profited from it. I'm not going to apologize or get angry by a few words. You're an idiot for even bringing up. You're not any different from me. Naruto said. Oh, how do you figure that? Kabuto asked. Something tells me that you had multiple masters or leaders. I bet that they never gave a damn about your skills or abilities. Then Orochimaru came around and gave you a purpose. He appreciated your skills and your abilities, making you his right-hand man. You took advantage of that and look at you now. Naruto said. Kabuto did not look happy after Naruto said that, mostly because he guessed it somewhat right. You have a big mouth and you need to shut it. Kabuto said. You're welcome to try. You're a joke, Kabuto. Talent doesn't make a shinobi. Having the will to push forward, to push past your limits, that is the true power of a shinobi. You say you're on Kakashi's level. Sorry to say, you're not even close. Naruto declared. Tsunade looked at the blonde after those words. Something stirred in her, something that she buried long ago. Kabuto scoffed at Naruto and readied himself. Very well then, let's see if your will is as strong as you say. Kabuto said. The time for games are over. A voice said. Naruto looked around only to get carried into the air. He fell to his back and looked up at the sky. That's when the sky went dark for him. As it did, he heard someone scream his name. Orochimaru stood on the snake as it swallowed the blonde. Tsunade and Shizune watch in horror as it happened. Naruto. Tsunade shouted. This got Maidashi and Jiraiya's attention. Jiraiya was shocked at watching his godson getting swallowed. That shock turned to rage. However, his rage was nothing compared to the intent that Maidashi was releasing. She didn't know why, but seeing Naruto get killed flipped a switch. Her eyes were white with rage. Maidashi was about to launch herself at Orochimaru when the serpent he was standing on began to bulge. It got bigger and bigger until the snake exploded. From the body, hundreds of clones came out. Orochimaru was in the air as Naruto's clones surrounded him. With a growl, he started to destroy them. He felt someone coming at him from behind. He used his sword to cut Naruto across the chest. He was dispelled and so was another who tried to catch him from behind. He spun to cut another one, but his blow was stopped by an Ajinata. Naruto's clone's dogpiled him and held his limbs. Orochimaru could easily free himself, but he would not be given that chance. Rasengan! Naruto exclaimed and shoved the chakra sphere into Orochimaru's back. The Sannin screamed as he felt the grinding effect of the jutsu. He was sent flying into the ground. Kabuto was stunned by this as Naruto's clones dispelled. Naruto landed on the ground and right to his knees. He was tired and slimy. That took a lot of chakra. That's when a shadow appeared above him. He turned to see Kabuto and his glowing hand. He brought his hand down, but it never connected due to Tsunade and Jiraiya blasting him away. Kabuto was sent flying like a missile and hit the ground with a boom. The two looked at the winded boy. Are you okay, kid? Jiraiya asked. No, I'm not okay. I was in a snake man. Naruto exclaimed. Well, now you know how I felt. Jiraiya said. That's when they turned to see Orochimaru stand. This shocked the blonde. How in the hell is he still standing? Naruto demanded loudly. They saw the large hole in his back before he turned around to face them. When Tsunade and Jiraiya saw him, they instantly saw why he was still alive. That isn't him. He's using someone's body. Tsunade said. Well, if that is your answer, Tsunade, then I will use other methods to get my arms back. When I do, I will burn Konoha to the ground. He turned to look at Naruto and glared at him. He began to sink into the ground. Maidashi did the same with Kabuto on her shoulder. The two was gone after a few moments. Everyone was still on guard, but after a while, they could no longer sense them. The fight was over. Naruto walked alongside Shizune, Tsunade, Tonton and Jiraiya. They had just left the resort town and were a day out of Konoha. Naruto talked to Tsunade and she was talking back. The relationship between the two changed after the battle. While Naruto called her bitch and Tsunade called him a brat, the two were friendly. It was mostly due to the conversation they had a day ago. Flashback, Naruto watched as Jiraiya tried to talk down the village leader. He was crying and I'm tears as price came up for the damage Naruto caused. This made the blonde smile a bit. What's so funny, brat? Naruto turned to see Tsunade. Just getting some satisfaction at Iro Sennin's, pervy sage, expense. Tsunade saw her teammate hand over a check with tears in his eyes. It made her smile. The two stood in silence for a while before Tsunade spoke. I may have been out of line when I insulted your dream. I shouldn't have unloaded my baggage on you. I also apologize for slapping you through a wall," she said. Naruto gave her a sideways glance before turning back to Jiraiya. "I guess I was out of line to use your family. It was a low blow on my part. I'm also sorry that I soaked you, giving you Rosenin material. No woman should have that happen," Naruto said. "Okay then, slate's clean between us," Tsunade said. "Yeah," Naruto replied. They were silently watching as Jiraiya wrote another check. "I still want that rematch," she stated. "Not happening," he answered. "Scaredy cat," Tsunade muttered. "Sore loser," Naruto muttered back. The two blondes had smirks on their faces. They watched as Jiraiya handed the leader another check. Present, both Jiraiya and Shizune were happy for the change. Tsunade seemed to be happier talking to Naruto. They continued on their way to Konoha. Janken was doing gate duty. He was really bored. How could anyone enjoy this? He looked at the two who seemed to like this position. He just shrugged and waited for it to end. That's when he caught sight of a group of 4 and 1 pig. He recognized Naruto and Jiraiya but did not recognize the other two. He especially wanted to know who the blonde was with the amazing rack. They arrived to the gates to check in. Naruto walked up to Janken. "Why are you doing gate duty?" Naruto asked. "It's a long story," Janken answered. He was about to ask about his companions when two shinobi appeared. They were Raito and Genma. They bowed to the blonde. "Lady Tsunade, the elders await your arrival," Raito said. The woman sighed before nodding. "Okay brat, you're dismissed for now. I'll see you around," Tsunade said, and with that she walked away with Jiraiya, Shizune and Taunton. Janken looked at them go and was surprised. He turned his attention to Naruto. "Wow, so you actually succeeded. I thought you would have pissed her off so that she would kill you." Naruto looked at him with confusion. "You have a tendency to frustrate people," Janken said. "Whatever. So is Anko sensei and Yukumo in the village?" Naruto asked. About Anko sensei, Janken began to tell him about Anko's problems. Naruto did not look pleased as the story progressed. Tsunade put her hand over Kakashi's head. After a while, she removed her hand and watched as his lone eye opened. "Welcome back to the living Kakashi," Tsunade said. "I know you," Kakashi said groggy. That's when the door was kicked open. The two saw that it was Naruto. "Hey Kakashi, we need to talk about your student," Naruto exclaimed. That's when he saw Tsunade. "Oh, hey Tsunade Obasan. What are you doing here?" "I was healing him." "Now, why did you just kick in the door and why are you being noisy?" "This is a hospital. Is this about your sensei?" Tsunade asked. "I figured you would know but I'm here to let Kakashi sensei know that if Sasuke wants some, he can come get some," Naruto said, directing it at Kakashi. "Wait, what is going here?" Kakashi asked with confusion. "You'll know about it when you are healed up," Tsunade said to him before turning to the blonde. "And you aren't getting into any fights during my reign. I will deal with the Anko situation and Sasuke. Now go home and relax," Tsunade ordered. Naruto listened and left the room. Kakashi was still confused, making her sigh. 3 days passed and Tsunade was already hating the Hokage position. This was the third meeting today. With a sigh, she faced her 1 o'clock. "So, you're the sensei of the blonde brat?" she asked. "Yeah, sorry if he was a handful. If it is any consolation, he a lot better from before. He used to be very rude and prank everybody. What he might have done to you must have not been that bad," Anko said with a smile. "He called me names and then challenged me to a fight. He then proceeded to soak me during that fight, which allowed Jiraiya to put me in his book," Tsunade stated. Anko was grinning nervously at that. She made a promise to kill Naruto the next time she saw him. After a while, she spoke again. "You can unclench Maidashi. I have reviewed the incident and you are not going to be removed from the ninja forces. You will however still be punished for your actions. I will suspend you for 2 more days and you will have to complete 100 D rank missions." Anko groaned but did not argue. She was curious about something. "I thought that the council would have fought tooth and nail after I did what I did," Anko said. "Oh they did, but I let them know that I am the Hokage and my word is law. Yes, you stepped over the line with the boy, but a lot of other jonin would have done the same. I remember Jiraiya doing the same when he had students. Plus, Kakashi put in a good word and said that he would also deal with his student. We're done here. Go and enjoy it with your students because they are going to be very busy in the coming days," Tsunade said. Anko was confused, but she did as her leader said. She left her office to go and find her team. Kakashi was not happy. It showed in his posture and his narrowed eye. It made Sasuke uncomfortable to see him so serious. "I want you to know that I dealt with your council buddies. No charges are going to be made against Anko," Kakashi said seriously. Sasuke was stunned. "What? Look at what she did to me," Sasuke shouted. "You threatened her student. I would have done the same," Kakashi stated, shutting Sasuke up. "First off, it was foolish of you to even go after Itachi. Did you really believe that you had a chance? I trained and worked with Itachi. He was strong then, and he has only gotten stronger. You are not on his level yet, and it was foolish to believe that you were. Sasuke was snarling at those words, but Kakashi did not care. Secondly, you should show some gratitude. Naruto saved you from the same fate as me. He protected you and you thank him by threats. I didn't need his help. Sasuke growled. Like you did such a great job against Itachi in the beginning. Kakashi mocked, infuriating Sasuke. You can be angry all you want, but it is the truth. You are in here because you are acting like a child, not a ninja. You are damn lucky that Anko did not kill you on the spot. She cares about her team and would do anything to protect them. You are also lucky that Tsunade was in the room to stop Naruto from challenging you. If that loser wants a fight, I'll give him a fight. Sasuke stated loudly. You go anywhere near Team Anko, and I will personally see to it that you are removed from duty and put on lockdown. Sasuke looked at Kakashi with shock. Why are you defending him? Sasuke demanded. Because like you, he is my comrade and I won't allow you to harm him or anyone else just because your ego can't handle it. You need to realize that everything between us has changed. You have disappointed me, Sasuke, with your actions, and I will no longer cater to your wants. I will train you to be strong, but from here on end, I will be your sensei and you will do as I say. Are we clear? Kakashi demanded. Sasuke was not at all happy, but the seriousness in Kakashi's tone made him nod. Kakashi turned to leave. He stopped at the door and looked back at him. You have the potential to be great, Sasuke, but your hate holds you back. If you allow it to control you, you will be no better than Orochimaru. If you go too far, I will put you down. I will not make the same mistake the Sandaime did. With that, Kakashi left. Sasuke was left alone to stew. His hate was growing. It was growing for Itachi, it was growing for Kakashi, it was growing for Naruto, and it was growing for Konoha. Kakashi exited the hospital with a heavy heart. He didn't want to do that to him, but he had to. He had to let Sasuke know just how serious he was. Sasuke was going down a dark path and he wanted to steer him away from it. However, as his sensei, he would do what had to be done. If Sasuke got out of line, he would stop him. He wouldn't like it, but he'd do his duty. Hey! A voice called out. Kakashi turned to see Anko. She saw that he was not in a good mood. You alright? Somewhat. Sorry about Sasuke. I don't blame you for acting out. Kakashi said. Glad you don't. I heard I have you to thank for keeping my job. Granted, 100 D ranks is a pain, but it's better than nothing. Anko stated. Like I said, you did what you had to do. He then sighed. I don't know what else I can do to get through to that boy. You just do your best. You think it was easy for me with my brats. You just have to work with what you got. You'll find a way. She explained. Thanks for that. You want to grab something to eat? Kakashi asked. Why not? I could eat. With that, Anko took his arm and the two made their way to get something to eat. An explosion rocked Raichido. Maidashi stood in front of a mountain wall and looked at the damage. She smiled at the damage she created, but she needed more training. However, it would be powerful. Not like that Rasengan jutsu, but very close. Like that jutsu, she didn't need hand seals. Her attention was taken away by the arrival of Kotoham and Kijiro. Maidashi just looked at them. Well? She asked. Arashi, Jigumo and Kamakiri will not join. When we suggested it, we almost came to blows. They are loyal to Orochimaru. Kotoham explained. What about the rest of your clan? Maidashi asked. Do you think it is wise to ask a bunch of thieves to join you? Kijiro asked. This Hanzaki refused Orochimaru. He must have a strong will. He can be a big help in the future. Arrange a meeting for me. What about the others? She asked. A few are considering your offer. Others are scared. I don't know if this plan will work, mistress. Kotoham said. I'm not worried. My plan will succeed because I am offering them a chance to grow. Atogakure can become a true village, not just Orochimaru's lab. Maidashi stated. What about Gurin sensei? Will she help us? Kijiro asked. That I don't know. She still doesn't like me and she is still too loyal to Orochimaru. However, I will try to convince her. She is strong and I could use someone like her on my side. Maidashi said. She then turned to the two. Continue to get stronger and pass the word along. We will have our day. The two nodded and vanished. After a while, she was joined by Mamashi. The two did not look at each other. Something I can help you with? Or are you spying on me? Maidashi said. Neither. Call it curiosity. You never gave a damn about anyone or anything. Now, you want to take over Orochimaru's troops and village. Since when did you care? Mamashi asked. She did not answer her and the large bull looked at her carefully before scoffing. Whatever, it has nothing to do with me. With that, she slithered away. Maidashi just turned back to her training. The week passed and things in Konoha was getting back to normal. Tsunade managed to get everything on track despite hating the job. She managed to add her own additions to the village. She improved the academy and she created a medical class. A few had a problem, but she dealt with them in her own way. In all, it wasn't too bad. Now, she was standing in front of Team Anko. The three, plus their sensei, were waiting for whatever was going to happen. Shino was also with them, as was Kurenai. Everyone stood at attention and waited for Tsunade to speak. Alright then, according to the judges, you four did very well in the exam finals. She said and turned to Naruto. The judges called your match beyond genin level. Sarutobi-sensei would be proud. She then turned to Janken. The judges called you unorthodox and crafty. I would call you crude and perverted, but who am I to judge your strategy? She then looked at Yukumo. You have come a long way in your dream of becoming a Kunoichi, and you showed just how dangerous the Kurama clan can be. And finally looked at Shino. What can I say about the Aburam clan? Your ability to stay cool under pressure is an asset to the village. She looked at all of them with a smile as they were presented with their Chunin vests. Congratulations, you have all been promoted to the rank of Chunin. Wear this vest with pride. Each genin got their vest and put it on. Team Anko was cheering, not caring who was looking. Tsunade called for attention. You are all dismissed for now. However, be prepared. I will be calling on you soon. Tsunade said. Alright then, let's go and party until we drop. Anko shouted. Her team cried out yeah and were out of the door. Tsunade just scoffed and went back to work. Anko watched as her team laughed and cheered. She was truly happy for them and their success. They deserved it in her mind as they all dealt with issues in their lives. It also took a lot of worries off her chest as their sensei. In the beginning, she was a terrible sensei to them and it nearly cost her. Yet, she got better, which meant they got better. Now, her hard work showed as they were all Chunin. Seeing that her team was having fun, it was time for her to have some fun of her own. Pulling out a small vial, Anko spiked her team's drinks without them knowing. They would figure it out, but they couldn't do anything about it. She might pay for it later, but she was going to have her fun tonight. Tsunade grumbled as she did paperwork. She cursed that blonde mentally, blaming him for this predicament. Despite her displeasure, Tsunade managed to get things back to normal quickly. While the invasion knocked them down, she managed to pick them up. She even implemented some ideas that she wanted to do before. The only hiccup she had was the antics of Team Anko. While it was funny when it happened to others, she did not appreciate the prank done to her. That was a week ago, and each member was still paying the price. A knock distracted her. She told the person to enter, and the door opened to reveal Shizune. Ma'am, Team Guy is here. She said. Send them in. The team of Niji, Tenten and Lee were ushered in. Tsunade knew the team well as she had to work on both male members. Lee was lucky to still be a shinobi. She saw the excitement on Tenten's face and figured that she was a fan of hers. She had several in her youth. Team Guy, thank you for coming. Being that you are the most senior of the genin teams, you were called in. Truthfully, you were my second choice. Second choice, ma'am? Niji asked. I originally had Team Kakashi to do this mission. However, Sasuke is still recovering and Kakashi is limiting his team to D ranks as punishment. So, this C rank is yours. Tsunade explained. What is the mission, Lady Tsunade? Lee asked with excitement. Sorry but your youthful fires won't be stroked by this mission. It is a simple escort mission to Takigakur no Sado, village hidden in the waterfall. You are escorting their leader, Shabuki. She said. Lee deflated a little after that. Will Guy-sensei be leading us? Tenten asked, noticing that her sensei wasn't in the room. Because of the invasion, I have the Jonin doing high-ranking mission to help the village. So, I am letting several Chunin carry the load, leading the genin. This particular Chunin is getting his first mission as the leader and he will be leading you. That's when there was another knock. Lady Hokage, Chunin wanted a Janken is reporting as requested. He said. Tenten visibly froze when she heard his voice. Tsunade saw this and was curious. Enter. She said and he did. Janken was now wearing black baggy pants that reached below his knees. His shins were taped up. He also wore a standard Konoha sweater with the sleeves rolled up, revealing his ninja mesh and most of his forearm. His new Chunin flak vest completed the outfit as did his weapon hanging off a bolt. Reporting for duty Janken began when he caught sight of Team Guy. Seeing Tenten's horror, he quickly put everything together. Oh, I knew that it was going to be a good day. I am going to enjoy this mission so much. He said with a wide grin. Tenten was openly weeping while Lee chuckled and Niji sighed. Tsunade wondered what was going on right now. So Janken was the first to get a mission. That's lame. Naruto said. He dodged a red ball before tossing another ball, striking a young girl in the head. Nice try, brat, but my ninja skills are too great for you. The young girl grumbled and made her way over to the others that Naruto had eliminated, each of them holding their heads. The blonde Chunin was engaging the class in a game of ninja dodgeball. Yukumo was standing at the sideline speaking to him. You think that is funny? Get this, he's leading Team Guy. She explained. Man, Tenten must be pissed. You know that he's going to lord this over her the most. Naruto said and dodged several balls before catching 2 balls and throwing them both back, outing 4 students. You're out Mogi, Yuden, Konohamaru, Hyuga. Yeah, I just hope he takes this seriously. He's a Chunin now. Yukumo said. That's when the whistle blew. Naruto cheered in victory. Ah, Uzumaki Naruto wins again. The academy students grumbled and glared as they began to file into the building. Yukumo looked at her teammate with surprise. I thought for sure you would hate this. Didn't the god put you here as punishment? She asked. Yeah, but if she thinks that this will break me, her mind is just as old as her body. Trust me, give me until the end of the week and Iruka-sensei will be begging her to get rid of me. Naruto said. This would be true as he heard Iruka shout his name. Yukumo just sighed and left him to the elder Chunin's wrath. A team of 4 were on their way to Takigakure. Team Janken, as the leader named them, covered the Taki leader in a diamond formation. Neji was in front with Janken and Tenten on the flanks and Lee in the rear. As they traveled, they were going over their mission. One thing was said that did not please Tenten. What in the hell do you mean that we are dropping him off near the entrance? We're supposed to escort him into the village. She yelled. We would but Shibuki-sama won't allow us into the village. If you knew anything about Takigakure, you wouldn't question your leader. Janken said mockingly. What do you mean sensei? Lee asked, annoying Tenten. Stop calling him that. Tenten roared. Well my student, Tenten growled at 2. In the history of the ninja world, Takigakure has never been found and never been invaded. They are a true hidden village and they would like to keep it that way. That's why when we get close enough to the entrance, Neji is going to shut off his eyes, we are going to drop him off to the entrance and then we head back home, mission successful. Janken explained. But you for that, for understanding and respect the secrets of my village. Shabuki said. Well, my sensei likes to be informed about the outside of Konoha. She literally beat it into my team. I think it's a little too much, but that is the nature of the ninja world. So, you can stop worry so much before you give yourself a heart attack. Janken said. Why yes, I will try. Again, sorry about my earlier outburst with the bird. Shabuki said, a little embarrassed. It happens to the best of us. Janken said, but the members of Team Guy knew that he was just being nice. Earlier in the journey, Neji's and Lee's positions were reversed until a bird scared the hell out of Shabuki. Janken saw just how shocked he was and decided to change positions. Since then, it had been smooth sailing. However, Janken voiced his concern secretly to the team. If Shabuki was indeed the leader of Takigakure, why was he so easy to scare? Anko entered the large hall to see every jonin gathered. It was a meeting called by the Hokage. Anko had no idea what it was about as she was stuck in the village, doing D ranks. What was once 100 D rank missions turned into 200 because of her prank. So far, she managed about 50 missions already. She would have added on if it wasn't for the mission. Anko walked up to Kurenai and Asuma who were also waiting. Well, if it isn't the D rank mistress herself. Asuma joked, earning a glare from the woman. Kurenai also got one after she giggled. It's your own fault Anko. I mean seriously, spiking your team's drink with 100% alcohol. Kurenai asked. It was a harmless prank. No one got really hurt. Anko argued. The Hyuga, the Hokage, Councilwoman Haruno, Sakura and Mabuki would disagree with you. Asuma said. Anko scoffed at that. That's when Tsunade entered with the elders. Everyone stood at attention and waited for her to speak. This meeting will be short and to the point. We are hearing rumblings from Iwa and Kumo. Already, I have sent teams to the border to keep an eye out on them. As for the village itself, we should be okay if we all do our part. I have gotten word from Suna and the alliance is reformed. Hopefully, it will stay that way. Tsunade reported. Have they named a new Kazukiage yet? Asked one shinobi. Not that I know of. Right now, the council is in charge and they are also in rebuild mode. Tsunade asked. What about Gaara? Asked Anko. Does he still want to kill my student? Actually, from what I have heard, Gaara has changed somewhat. He isn't as bloodthirsty as before. I don't think you have to worry about the brat. What you do have to worry about are the complaints I'm getting from the academy. Apparently, the defiant little shit is taking his punishment out on the students. He played a game of ninja dodgeball with the students. That doesn't sound too bad. Anko said. Tsunade pulled out a very thick file and opened it. 2 bloody noses, 16 bruises and 2 concussions. He has also taught the class to prank the teacher's staff, which has resulted in massive property damage and hurt feelings. Then there is the mural on the side of the academy. Tsunade said. In Naruto's defense, he has done that before and this one is much better than the old one. Anko said. Tsunade narrowed her eyes at her. Anko could only chuckle nervously. You do know that this is your fault Naruto. Anko said to him. She checked in another person who came into the village. The Jonin and Chunin were now on guard duty at the village gates. Don't worry sensei, I have a plan. Naruto said. Oh, you have a plan do you? Here's what I think of your plan. Anko said and kicked him in the face. Anko grumbled and went back to doing her job. Janken was showing the kids his weapons when he noticed Tenten. "Hey Buns, stop slacking off and pick up that garbage. You are representing Konoha and I won't have you humiliate us." Janken shouted with some amusement. The harsh glare he received did not deter his amusement. The little girl looked at Janken with curiosity. "Hey, do you like her or something?" she asked. Janken looked at her with a raised eyebrow. "What do you ask me that?" Janken asked. "My brother told me that boys are mean to the girls they like," she said. Her brother, who was with them, gave her a look. "Not to say anything bad about your brother, but he's wrong. Well, she's a good friend and good mocking material, I don't like in that way." "Is some boy doing that to you?" Janken asked. "No, because I would beat them up," she joked, making Janken smirk. It took a while, but all the garbage was picked up. It was an extra task that Shabuki gave them. Janken took the job, letting him know that it will be added to the mission. "Well, now that we are done, we will get out of your hair," Janken said. "Come on, can't we eat something first?" Tenten complained. "Again, village secret entrance that they don't want us to know about," Janken countered. "Sorry, but your leader is right." "Again, thank you for all your help," Shabuki said. The team was preparing to leave when they all hear a woman's voice. The woman stepped out and the girl called her mommy. However, Janken saw the kunai that was lodged in her back. Shabuki noticed it as did the team. "Niji," Janken said. Niji activated his eyes and caught sight of someone coming out of the waterfall. "4, incoming." Niji shouted and 4 figures popped out of the waterfall. Team Guy looked at the 4 and prepared for battle. The 4 launched several shuriken at the group. Janken and Tenten acted, knocking them down with their own projectiles. Lee appeared in between the group, surprising them. "Konoha Senk. Leaf Whirlwind," he shouted and knocked them all, except for the large one who blocked his attack. The man was about to counter, but Niji struck him in the side with a Janken, gentle fist, strike. The other 3 were taken out as well. Tenten immobilized 2 of them while Janken knocked out the other, slamming him into the ground. Hurt and outnumbered, the man retreated back into the waterfall. Lee looked ready to give chase but was stopped by Janken. "We don't know what's waiting for us. We also don't know how to get in. Right now, we are regrouping. Tenten, help carry the injured woman. Lee, help me carry one of these guys. We are going to make him tell us what is going on. Niji, keep an eye out and watch Shabuki," Janken ordered. Everyone did as they were told. Tenten was healing the woman while Lee and Niji kept guard. Janken stood to the side, giving Shabuki a sidelong glance. The old woman groaned as Tenten helped her sit up. Shabuki was to her side in an instant. "Are you okay?" Shabuki asked. "Why yes, I will be alright thanks to her. Lord Shabuki, there is danger within the village," the woman said. "What do you mean?" "Tsuien has returned." This stunned Shabuki. "He has taken the villagers hostage and has led teams of Omegaker, Hidden Rain, Ninja into the village," she reported. Shabuki began to shake when Janken spoke. "Who is Tsuien?" he demanded. Shabuki looked at the Chunin. "The mean I interrogated mentioned the name and who we are dealing with. 3 teams who abandoned Omegaker are helping him to get the Ayu no Mizu, Hero's Water. They didn't know much about Tsuien, so now I am asking you." Tsuien was a jonin of my village. He was also my teacher. However, he wanted one of the village's secrets and was declared a missing nin when denied. Shabuki explained. Janken let out a sigh after that. He really wasn't expecting this for his first mission. However, Janken had come to a decision, but first, he needed an answer. "As I told my team, we will not enter your village." Tenten looked ready to protest, but a look from Janken stopped her. "But, you cannot defeat 3 teams and your old sensei alone. Not only is it suicide but I don't believe that you are capable of it." Shabuki looked surprised, but cowered at the look Janken gave him. He continued to speak. "If you don't want us in your village, we will walk away. If you have any courage in you, you will accept our help," he said seriously. Shabuki looked at Janken for a while. He then stood and looked at him. "Very well, I will lead you into the village. I will accept your help. We need to keep Tsuien away from the Ayu no Mizu," Shabuki said. Janken nodded and stood straight. "Okay, we are going to have to split up. Lee, you're the fastest. Waits off in full speed back to the village. You run into any jonin, you inform them and you get them back here pronto," Janken ordered. "Yosh, I will go and return with haste," Lee exclaimed. He threw off his weights and opened one of the gates. He took off with a shot, uprooting earth. Janken turned to Tenten. "You're the only one who has any medical skill. So, heal her up and protect the kids. Something tells me that you'll have visitors. Keep your guard up." He turned to Niji and Shabuki. "Let's get going," Janken said. The 3 made their way into the village. Janken, Niji and Shabuki broke through the water. It was an interesting way into a village. If one did not know the way, they would die trying. The 3 stepped out close to where the Ayu no Mizu was. Janken kept his guard up and it was a good thing too. Suitin. Suitin no jutsu. Water release. Water bullet technique. Akashmkaten. A trigram's palm rotation, Niji shouted and deflected the attack. They were them faced with a small army. At the head, a long, spiky-haired man with small dark eyes and a goatee stood. He wore a dark blue jacket, gray pants, sandals and a bandana that kept his hair out of his face. He smirked at the three, especially at Shabuki. I see that you are still a weak, scared little boy I trained. I also see that you dragged Konoha into this. I will give you a chance. Give me the Ayu no Mizu and I'll kill you quick. Suyin said. Shabuki was shaking like a leaf. However, Janken had other ideas. I have a different proposal. How about you and your men decide to try another day? Janken asked. Suyin smirked at him. And why should I? Judging by the vest, you must be a newly promoted Chunin. Do you really think that you can defeat a Jonin of my caliber? Not to mention 3 teams of Aimnin. Your teammate, the Hyuga, might be the only wrinkle, but it is a minor one at best. Plus, I hold the villagers hostage. Why exactly do I need to try another day? You make pretty good points, but you have made 2 errors. Janken said. Oh, what's that? 1, we're not informed of you. We're already inside the room where the Ayu no Mizu is. Been inside since your attack. Suyin lost all amusement and was truly surprised. And 2, you really think that I won't destroy the Ayu no Mizu? I'm not your average Chunin. I personally don't care if I get demoted for doing it. If it keeps you from getting it, then I will destroy it. So, you even touch a villager, if they get so much as a scratch, I'm going to destroy the Ayu no Mizu and you can wait another 100 years for the tree to produce more. Janken said before the images of the 3 vanished. Suyin was not a happy person. Tenten was putting the last bandage on the woman. She managed to stop the bleeding and now the old woman was comfortable. The kids were happy as well. Unknown, a figure with a black hat, black eyes and messy brown hair, moved to intercept Tenten. He launched forward only to get 3 kunai lodged into him, 2 in the knees, on in the shoulder. He felt more pain as 6 more kunai were lodged into him at the joints. He laid on the ground, bleeding from his wounds, when Tenten appeared. She looked at the downed ninja before completely knocking him out. Tenten secured him before meeting up with the woman and the 2 kids. The girl looked at Tenten with awe. That was awesome, Tenten. That trick with the mirrors was amazing. The girl exclaimed. Tenten just grinned and helped the old woman to move to another spot. Janken, Niji and Shabuki were in the holding room of the Ayu no Mizu. Shabuki held the bottle that held the water, while Janken and Niji kept an eye out. It does not look like that he is leaving. It also seems that they are angry about something. Niji reported, turning off his Byakugan. Must have been Tenten. If there is 3 teams, I only noticed 2 leaders. They third must have went after Tenten and thought that she was an easy target. Janken said with some amusement. That's when he turned to face Shabuki. So what's your story? I'm sorry. Shabuki asked. What caused you to become this way? It must have been something you witnessed that caused you to act like this. I'm not really judging you because those villagers out there seem to genuinely care for you. So what was it that turned you into the person today? Janken asked. Shabuki looked down at his feet before he began to speak. My father, Hyson, he was my hero. He was also the previous leader of Takigakur, Hidden Waterfall. I truly looked up to him. Some time back, someone attacked the village. My father, he drank the Ayu no Mizu to give himself the power to protect the village. He protected the village but died in the process. Seeing him lying dead like that, I feared for my own life. I don't want to die and I would do anything not to. Shabuki explained. It was quiet for a while before Janken spoke. Well, I'm sorry that happened to you. I wish I can say something inspiring, but I'm not that type of guy. What I will say is that your father made a choice. He chose the welfare of the village over his own. In my eyes, he's a hero. You will one day make that same decision. Janken said. Janken, we have a situation. Niji said. Janken turned toward the entrance and saw that Suyin was demanding his attention. He looked pissed about something. Yes, can we help you with something? Janken asked mockingly. Enough. I want that water. I am giving you 30 minutes and then I start killing villagers. Suyin said. You do know that I will destroy that water if you do. He said. Shabuki would never allow you to do that. Now, give me the water. Suyin shouted. Don't do it, Shabuki-sama. One of them shouted. Don't worry about us. You have to keep the water safe. We will be okay. A woman shouted. The 2 were hit by the Aimnin for speaking. Shabuki saw this and was stunned. He was scared, but he could not allow his villagers to get hurt. Shabuki stepped out of the cave, surprising the 2 Konohinin. He stood at the entrance, the Ayu no Mizu in his hand. Suyin was smirking while the villagers were shouting for him to get back in the cave. Niji made a move but was stopped by Janken. You're making the wise decision, Shabuki. Now, hand me the water. Suyin ordered. Shabuki took a few more steps before he reared his head back and took a few gulps of the Ayu no Mizu, surprising them all. He quickly fastened the bottle to his waist and did hand seals. Suiton. Suiton no jutsu. Shabuki said and fired a torrent of water. Suiton dodged, but some of the aimed-in were taken out. Shabuki vanished and appeared in front of his and hit him with a punch. Suiton hit the ground but moved out of the way as water hit where he was. Suiton looked on as Shabuki landed in front of him, an aura surrounding him. He was also holding a sword made of water. This made Suiton smile. The Takigaku Rik. Mizukiri no Yaiba, hidden in a waterfall style. Water-cutting sword. You seem to have improved on it. I don't know where this courage came from but it won't last. Just hand me the water Shabuki and I will finish you off quickly. Suiton said. No. I am the leader of Takigaku and as its leader, I will defend my village with all of my ability. I am terrified right now, but I refuse to allow you to hurt my people. Shabuki said. If that's what you want, Suiton then formed Takigaku Rik. Mizukiri no Yaiba. Let's see what you've got, leader. He mocked. Shabuki shouted and charged forward. The two clashed. Meanwhile, the aimed-in were getting destroyed by the two Konohinin. They both managed to take out the shinobi around the villagers. Those who could fight helped out in defending their village. Daken and Niji were now facing the other two leaders of the aimed-in. So, do you want the guy with the muscles or the chick? Jacken asked. The decision was made for them as the taller of the two charged and engaged Niji. Jacken just blinked owlishly at that before dodging a whip made of water. He landed and held out his kusurigama. So, who am I fighting today? My name is Hisam and it will be the last name you'll know. She said and lashed out at him. Jacken once again dodged a strike and prepared himself to fight. The battle for Takigaku had begun. Tsunade stood in front of the team that was gathered. She was also curious about this team as much as the team she just sent to Takigaku. It seems like the female of the team was also scared of one of Anko's Chunin. She didn't know why, but she really didn't care anymore. Every member of that team were crazy. Alright then, Yukumo, you will be the leader of this mission and the care of Team Asuma is yours. Tsunade said. What is the mission, ma'am? Yukumo asked. It is ranked as a B rank, but it shouldn't really be that hard. The client is from Inaho village. The son of a person named Genmai hired us because his father has gone missing. Your mission is to find him and return him to the village. Tsunade said. Ma'am, wouldn't Team Kurenai be a better choice for this mission? They are better suited for tracking. Yukumo said. Well that is true, Team Kurenai is out on a mission with their sensei. Team Kakashi would have been my second choice due to Kakashi's summons, but his team are still not ready for duty. Tsunade explained. Very well, we will get on with the mission now. She faced Team Asuma. Alright, prepare for a week. We leave the village in an hour. The situation in Takigaku no Sado, hidden village in the waterfall, was starting to get intense. Shabuki's attack took out several of the invaders and dazed the others. This freed up the prisoners who had just realized the situation. Those with ninja training pounced on the invaders, stunning them. The villagers were led away to safety as the fighting continued. Murasame cried out as he was pushed back by Niji. The young genin was waiting in his stance as Murasame growled at him. He couldn't believe that this genin was beating him so badly. He attacked him for his earlier attack, but it seems that he might have made a mistake. Again he vanished, using his speed to try and get behind Niji. Niji dodged a kick and the two punches that followed. With each attack, Murasame would get hit by Niji with either a palm strike or finger strikes. The man was getting frustrated and he was no longer going to take this. He jumped back and started doing hand seals. However, he could not mold the jutsu or feel his chakra. He glared at Niji. What did you do to me? He demanded. Do things that you need to realize. 1. I am the student of Maido Guy and the teammate of Rock Lee. Your speed does not compare to theirs. 2. You should really know who you are fighting. Niji said before appearing in front of Murasame. He was in a stance and his Byakugan was activated. Seeing this, Murasame realized who he was fight. Now, you are in range of my divination. Akirakujikin SHM, a trigram 64 palms. Murasame was bombarded with several strikes, 64 strikes that shut him down and knocked him out. With that over, Niji made his way over to where Shabuki was fighting. Hisam was sent flying into a tree. She groaned before looking at the Chunin who was walking up to her. Hisam could see that this boy was trained well and would kill her. She saw Murasame go down and she wasn't about to follow his example. She needed to escape and get the hell out of here. She did some hand seals. Izubunshin, water clone. She exclaimed and 5 clones came out of the river. They all formed a Suiton. Subin, water release. Water whip and attacked. Jacken ducked and dodged the attacks before swinging his weapon. He destroyed 2 clones and charged at the remaining 4. He engaged her in close combat, showing that she was no fighter. Daken destroyed all the clones and brought his Kusurigama down on the real one. Or so he thought. But that Jacken said with surprise. Hisam jumped out of the lake and rushed at Janken using her chakra to speed up. She drove a kunai into his back, making him gasp. "Not so tough now, huh?" Hisam said confidently. "Enzoku-chen no Kitsugo." Metal chain binding, Hisam was wrapped up by the chains of Janken's weapon. "What the hell?" she exclaimed. "That was a pretty good plan you had there," Janken said, walking out from behind a tree. "Making a sixth Mizu Bunshin while we fought so that you could escape. But then, I guess you realized that you don't know how to escape. You got in here thanks to your leader and I bet you don't remember the way. You probably would have drowned. Instead, you're going to have to spend your time here in a Takigakure prison. Say good night, Raiden." Jabashi. Lightning release. Electromagnetic murder, sending enough electricity to knock her out, Hisam screamed as she was hit by the volts. She would soon pass out and lay there. Janken secured her so that she would not escape before going to help Shabuki. Shabuki skid across the ground. He was breathing heavy and was losing chakra fast. He was barely standing and his Takigakure Rik. Mizukiri no Yaiba, Takigakure style. Water-cutting sword was starting to lose its form. Suion looked a little winded from the fight, but he knew that he held the advantage. "You've done surprisingly well, Shabuki, but it is time to stop playing around. The boost that you received from the water is fading. Just hand it to me and I promise, I'll make your death quick," Suion said with a grin. "No, I refuse to give you the water," Shabuki said. This made Suion frown. "Stupid boy, you should have stayed that coward you always were. You want to die a brave man. So be it." Suion vanished and reappeared bringing his sword down on Shabuki. He raised his sword to counter, but Suion cut through it in him. Shabuki dropped to his knees clutching his wound. Suion looked at him and readied his sword for the final blow. That's when several kunai came at him. It forced him to back away from Shabuki. That's when 3 Takigakure ninja appeared. 2 stood guard while the other checked Shabuki. "You will be alright, Shabuki-sama. We've got you," he said. Suion growled as he looked at the shinobi defending him. "If you don't get out of my way or give me the water, I will kill you all." He spat. "Just try it, traitor," the ninja said. "We will defend the water and our leader with everything we have. So be it then." Suion roared and did hand seals. Suiton. Shuriken no Jutsu. Water release. Water dragon bullet technique, a large dragon came out of the lake and zoomed toward the group of shinobi. Hakashim Kaiten. A trigram's palms revolving heaven, the chakra dome protected the shinobi and dragon, didn't even make a dent. It died down and Niji stood in his stance, his Byakugan blazing. Janken appeared, his weapon twirling. That's when several other Takigakure shinobi appeared with the other 2. Suion looked around him and saw that he was now surrounded. A small army he brought with him was defeated. There was no way he was getting the Ayu no Mizu. He growled at everyone who was protecting Shabuki and he was angry that his plans were failing. That's when things got worse when the canopy exploded from above. 3 figures came from above. They landed with the rest of shinobi. "Comrades, leader, I have returned with help," Lee exclaimed. Janken looked at the person he brought with him. It was Asuma. Tenten was with them as well. "Hey Asuma, what brings you to the neighborhood?" Janken asked with some mirth. "I was on my way back to Konoha when Lee sped by me. He told me the situation and we rushed over here with 2 others. They are looking over the women and children. By the looks of things, you seem to have the situation under control. However, I will handle this," Asuma said and pulled out his blades. Suion scoffed at him and readied his Takigakure Rik. Mizukiri no Yaiba. "If you think I'm just going to surrender, you are a fool," Suion said. Asuma didn't say anything but just channeled his chakra. The 2 jonin charged each other, disappearing and reappearing, backs facing each other. It would be a moment later before blood sprayed out of Suion's chest and he fell to the ground. Asuma just sighed and reached for his cigarettes. The fighting was done. Back in Konoha, Naruto was enjoying a bowl of ramen. He had finally finished his punishment of guard duty without an incident. That was only because his sensei refused to let him. It was such a letdown that his once crazy sensei was such an authority now. Granted, if he did mess up, she would pay the price too, but that was beside the point. Either way, his punishment was over and he could relax for a while. As he ate, he was suddenly joined by the sensei of Team 7. He looked at the man and gave him a grin. "Hey Kakashi-sensei, what have you been up to?" Naruto asked. "Nothing much, Naruto. It's just been a very frustrating week," Kakashi said with a sigh. Naruto looked concerned because Kakashi was usually pretty laid back. What could frustrate the cool jonin, Naruto didn't know. "What's up?" he asked. "My team figured out that I have skipping over missions for them. The mission to Takigakure was supposed to be our responsibility, but I refused due to their actions. Another mission was also refused because they are still not getting it. I believe your 2 teammates took those missions." Sai let it be known that was happening and Sasuke was not happy. "This had to be the worst argument that we have had. However, I'm sticking to my decision and he will have to deal with it," Kakashi explained. "Man, you got it rough." Is Sasuke the only problem or is it all three? The Chunin asked. Sasuke is the main one. Sakura still does not take this as seriously as she could and Sai, well skilled, is not what he seems. Kakashi then sighed and took his bowl of ramen. I am truly at the end of my rope here. If they do not get it together and soon, I am going to recommend that this team be disbanded. He said and focused on his ramen. Naruto felt back for his friend and just gave him a pat on the back. They were suddenly interrupted by the arrival of Shizune. Hello Naruto, Tsunade-sama would like a word with you. She said. Kakashi looked at the boy with a curious eye. What did you do this time? He asked. I swear to Kami, it wasn't me. Naruto replied. No, it isn't that. Tsunade-sama needs you for a mission. You will be leading it. She said. Ah, she finally gave in. She knew that I was her only choice. Naruto exclaimed. Yes and no. While you were her only choice, she tried really hard to find another leader. She even considered promoting Maidashi Kasuke just to avoid it. Shizune said with a nervous smile. That wasn't going to happen. Kakashi said. He then looked at Naruto. Take care Naruto and do your best. Naruto gave him a salute and followed Shizune to the tower. Team Yukumo were making their way to the area where the young son of Genmai said he would be. Finding the area was not hard, but Yukumo soon realized that Genmai must have gotten lost. The footprints showed that much. The team tracked the footprints about half a mile when they disappeared. Yukumo got down on a knee to examine the area. She ignored the groans from Team Asuma, who had been bitching since leaving Inaho village. Why are we just standing around here for? Let's just find this guy and get back to Konoha. Ino whined. I'm hungry. Choji added. Shikamaru stayed quiet and just waited. Yukumo stood up and looked at Shikamaru. What do you think? Yukumo asked. Judging from marks in the ground and some broken branches, it looks like he was ambushed here. That means that this mission just got more troublesome. Shikamaru said with a sigh. Yeah, I agree. We are dealing with unknowns, and this might have been a trap for someone. Yukumo said. Could it be one of us? Shikamaru asked. I can't really say. Despite the minor status that the village gives our clans, Choji and I are clan heirs, you are the son of Konoha's Jonin commander, and Ino is the daughter of Yamanaka clan leader. It could be intended for any of us. Yukumo said. Hey! Ino shouted. The two looked at her. Ino was not happy about being ignored. What are you two talking about? We are talking about how this mission has been risen a little in difficulty. Our objective has been kidnapped and is probably close by with his captors. This was a setup for us to respond. Yukumo explained. And you decided to talk to just Shikamaru and not all of us? Ino demanded. I did that because I can trust Shikamaru to do his part when the time comes. He is obviously the brains of your group and I know who his father is. Lazy as he might be, I know that I can count on him to think of ways to succeed, to be objective and give sound advice. I've known this since this mission began. Yukumo answered. Are you saying that me and Choji are useless? Ino shouted. If you want me to be blunt, yes. All you have done is complain and give orders when you know that I am in charge. You have questioned everything that I have done and you are too loud. What if the enemy is close by right now? No offense to Choji, but you are a little too soft and a little too concerned with food even after we ate 2 hours ago. Shikamaru has earned my trust so I am going to rely on him the most. You don't like it, tough. Yukumo said with a serious face. Ino was red in the face at what Yukumo said to her, but she did not say anything. Despite her bravado, this was the girl that defeated her in the preliminaries. Ino just huffed and turned her nose up. Yukumo turned back to Shikamaru. Sitting in a tea shop, Naruto was treating the team he was leading. It was also to get to know Team Kurenai. They, mostly Kiba, had a little issue about him leading due to his age. However, they got past it and Naruto found them to be a cool bunch, despite their quirks. Kiba acted like he was a big shot, Shino was way too quiet and Hinata was way too shy. Still, their mission record spoke for itself and Naruto was pleased to lead this team. After some seats, tea and conversation, Naruto decided to talk about the mission. However, he was interrupted by someone. He was older, had brown hair and brown eyes. The look that he gave Naruto was not friendly. That vest looks new. He said with a tone. It is. You have a problem with that? Naruto asked, preparing for anything. How did you pass the 10th question? Naruto raised an eyebrow at that. Before he could speak, Kiba spoke up. Why don't you take a hike? Can't you see we're busy? Kiba spat. The teenager scoffed and walked out after making some signal to the owner. They kept watching him until he left. Kiba scoffed at the teen. What was his problem? I'm more interested in how he knew about the 10th question. He didn't have anything on him that suggested that he was from Konoha or that he was a genin. He might be from one of the teams that graduated from my year, but I don't remember him. I'll send a toad back to the village and get some information. Naruto said and was about to do a summoning when the waitress came up to him with 2 bills. Naruto looks confused as to why. "Oh, that young man who just left told the manager that you would pay for his meal," she said. This surprised everyone at the table. It also pissed them off. Naruto paid for both bills before dashing out of the tea shop, hot on the teen's heels, Team Kurenai following. Yukumo cursed as she looked around her surroundings. It was nothing but a void with the only light coming from the ceiling array at her feet. She wasn't alone as Genmai was here with her. She checked him over and saw that he was okay, just unconscious. As she got to work on escaping this trap, she mentally counting backwards from 100 to calm the anger in her. Even after she explained everything to them, that idiot of a Kunoichi still disobeyed her orders. She ignored her orders not to engage the man. They could have easily dealt with the dog chasing him and kept their distance, but no. Because of her arrogance, she tripped this trap. If she was just a little slower, Eno would be the one in here, not her. Yukumo decided to save her harsh words for now and deal with the trap she was in. Lucky for her, she studied a bit of Fuinjutsu due to the fact that Naruto was on her team. She also studied it due to the trap Naruto laid on her during a spar. She looked over Genmai and found what she was looking for. She prepared to get out of this trap, and once she did, she was going to unleash her inner Anko. Shikamaru and Choji hit the ground hard. They were hurt and had some minor wounds. They looked at their enemy and felt that this was going to be their last day alive. The female, a brown-haired, black-eyed Kunoichi, was smirking behind her black mask. "I thought they would have been some challenge. I almost wished that we were fighting the team we were sent for. What do you think, Iwana?" she asked. Iwana wore a green-colored, shark-like top with a hood, resembling a shark's head. He had black eyes as well. He held a shuriken in his hand. "I agree. Let's get this over with, Yamam," he said. Yamam readied her kama and he readied his shuriken to finish the two off. That when the ground under them began to crack. They looked down only to be ensnared by vines. They tried their hardest but they could not escape. They were lifted into the air. "What the hell is this?" Yamam shouted. From out of one of the vines, a pea pod sprouted. It opened to reveal Yukumo. This surprised the two. "And no way. How did you escape that trap?" Iwana exclaimed nervously. "It won't matter to a couple of dead people," Yukumo said calmly. She pulled out her dagger and launched forward. All Shikamaru and Choji heard was steel cutting through flesh. The bodies dropped to the ground and laid there, blood pooling around them. Yukumo turned to them, shaking the blood off her dagger. She looked at the two with a dead serious expression, making them gulp. "Did you kill them?" Choji asked nervously. "Better them than you," Yukumo stated bluntly. She noticed that Eno was not with them. "Where is she?" Shikamaru was the one who spoke. "The leader took her. He has short black hair and green eyes. He was wearing a grey shark-like top, a hood that had appendage on the back that looked like a dorsal fin, and dark pants. He also had two dark violet markings under his eyes. He took her after the troublesome girl attacked him. He went north of here," he reported. Yukumo sighed at that. "Genmai is unconscious but otherwise fine. You two are going to watch over him until I get back. I'm going to get your idiot of a teammate. You should make it quick because those dogs will return when they smell the blood," Yukumo said and vanished. The two looked at each other before following her instructions. Yukumo entered a cave that was a few yards north. It was dimly lit but she could see her opponent and the idiot right next to him. She walked up to them, walking on the surface of the water. She stopped when she was in front of the altar. The missing nin looked at her with a grin. Yukumo looked at the ninja with a critical eye. She gauged the best way to fight him but was interrupted by his voice. "I'm surprised that you escaped the Lord's trap. You must be pretty strong," he said. "So the Fuinjutsu trap wasn't your doing? That also means you were sent here and you kidnapped Genmai," Yukumo said. "Yes, but you were not our target. My lord wanted Team Kakashi." Yukumo narrowed her eyes at that. "If you would please, bring me that team. I will hold on to her while you do," he said. "I don't think so," she said. This made him smirk. "Are you going to make the same mistake as her?" he asked, pointing at Eno. "Are you going to attack me head-on?" "I've already made my move." The teen looked confused until she disappeared. His eyes widened and quickly spun around. He jumped back in time to avoid his throat getting slashed. Yukumo continued her assault, but her opponent quickly disarmed and slammed her into the ground. "That was an impressive move," he said. "You love this one." Yukumo exploded into Sakura petals. It was followed by a punch that he did not see. He got some distance, escaping the petal cloud, sticking himself to the cave wall. The petals disappeared and both girls were gone. He suddenly turned around and grabbed Yukumo's wrist. She was surprised, but that quickly turned to pain when he broke it, forcing her to drop her dagger. He pulled her forward and slammed his knee into her gut. He then slammed both fists into her back, sending her toward the water. He quickly did some hand seals. Suiton. Reku Sajeki. Water release. Cold sky water attack. He fired several large jets of water from his mouth that came at Yukumo at a high rate of speed. She was hit hard, coughing up blood, and lost her arm in the attack. She hit the water with a splash. The missing nin jumped off the wall and landed on the water's surface. He walked up to Yukumo who was floating. Blood seeped from her wound, making him grin. You did surprise me, but this fight is over. You will be a message that the Wondrous One will use. For the entertainment, no matter how short, I will give you my name. It is Kaijika. He said arrogantly. Thanks for name. Meijin. Mujutsu. Demonic illusion. Moonless sky, darkness quickly consumed the cave, surprising Kaijika. Jinjutsu Kuchius. Monheia. Illusion technique summoning. Torture chamber, Kaijika was suddenly restrained by 4 chains. He looked around and saw that he was now in a cage with several imps looking in. It looked like they were holding something. He looked forward to see the dying Yukumo stand up without any pain. He watched with some fear as her arm regrew and her wounds vanish. What was now in front of him was a ghostly image. Well now Kaijika, Yukumo spoke in her new voice. It appears that I am the one who will be delivering a message. You're coming back with me to answer some questions. That's when Kaijika began to laugh despite his fear. Is something funny? I finally understand now, but if you believe a mere Jinjutsu can hold me, then you are a fool. Kaijika shouted. He cut off and then released his chakra, attempting to break the Jinjutsu. After a few moments, Kaijika was still being restrained. No, this can't be real. This is all an illusion. That will be enough of that. Yukumo said and snapped her fingers. The imps began pulling on wire that further constricted Kaijika. The man could felt the sting of the wire cutting into his body. He struggled only to get cut up some more. Yukumo walked up to him. Sorry, but I can't have you dying from any wounds. It is time for you to go to sleep. Yukumo was about to put him in a sleep-induced Jinjutsu when something happened. Kaijika's eyes began to glow and a purple aura surrounded him. Yukumo backed away quickly. My, Anko sure has a vicious little student. Kaijika said, but it was not his voice. The power of the Kurama heiress is such a power to behold. It would have been an experience to experiment on your body. I can see now why Maidashi was so interested. Although, her reasons are different from mine. Hearing Maidashi's name, Yukumo knew who she was speaking to. Orochimaru, she said with some worry. Indeed. A shame that I did not get to speak to Sasuke directly. I wanted to see how my gift was working out for him. He said. The same gift you gave my sensei. I wouldn't call it much of a gift. Yukumo growled. A matter of opinion. Either way, I will have other opportunities. This is goodbye for now. That's when Kaijika glowed brighter. Yukumo quickly broke her Jinjutsu and got out of the area just as the body exploded. When the dust settled, Yukumo stepped out from behind the boulder she dove for. She did not let her guard down, but her gut told her that there was no one else in the cave. A groan alerted her and she turned to see Eno getting up. She realized that it was time to finish the mission and report back to the Hokage. She needed to hear this report ASAP. Tsunade could feel the headache growing as Yukumo gave her report. She cursed whatever god, her teammate and his brat of an apprentice for making her take this damn job. The fact that everything was going so smoothly for the past couple of hours only aggravated her more. After Yukumo was done with her report, Tsunade let out a sigh. Well, the only good news is that Genmai is safe and the mission was completed. However, I am going to get together with the missions department and start screening these missions more closely. Then I need to talk to Kakashi about his student. I also need to talk to Asuma about his students and the punishment that they are about to receive. She said. The punishment? Choji asked nervously. Yes, punishment. I don't know who you brats think that you are, but your actions on this mission were unacceptable. Between the insubordination, whining and your lack of training, I have to start looking into your academy records and Asuma's training. Tsunade explained. Wait, you can't blame Asuma-sensei for this. Eno exclaimed. I would watch your tone Gen in Yamanaka or you will find yourself in more trouble than you are in right now. Tsunade shouted. Eno quickly bowed her head. The fact is, you disobeyed the orders of your leader. You questioned the ability of your leader who was making the right decisions. I have to wonder if this is something that Asuma allows, and if so, I have to question his methods. Everyone stayed silent after that. Tsunade took a breath before looking at each member. Genin Nara and Genin Akamichi, you will report to the academy and be assisting Iruka in his class. If he complains about anything you do then I will add on more time to that punishment. As for you Genin Yamanaka, since you think you can make adult decisions, you will be getting adult consequences. As of this moment, you are suspended from duty. How long will depend on what your sensei thinks. You are all dismissed. Tsunade said with authority. They all bowed and left the room, Eno the first out, tears falling from her eyes. Outside, Janken was coming from training. He usually passed the Hokage tower on his way back from the training grounds. As he walked past the entrance, Eno came running out and brushed past him. A little annoyed at the fact that she did not apologize, he was about to say something when Yukumo called out to him. He turned to see her with 2 others who made off in the same direction as the rude girl. He turned his attention to her. What was all that about? Janken asked. She got a punishment that she deserves and she's being a child about it. I am so annoyed right now so I'm going to that ramen stand Naruto likes. Their food always seemed to calm me down. Yukumo said. I'll come with you them. Don't need you to put some poor guy in a genjutsu if he says the wrong thing. Janken joked. Who do you think I am? Sensei. Yukumo asked with a frown. Janken grinned and was about to answer, but a warning glare stopped him. The two just continued on to Ichirakus. Naruto sighed and wondered what deity he offended. He could only look on as two of his clones were holding back Kiba from launching himself at Jiracho underling to pieces. It would not do well to kill the person that they were tasked with protecting. Sighing again, Naruto turned his focus onto the client. So, we're protecting I-Date. Can you go into more detail? In a compound, 4 robed figures knelt in front of the Wagarashi Kairoku, head of the Wagarashi family. The man had a slimy smirk on his face. Remove your hoods. I want to see your faces. Kairoku ordered. The 4 removed their hoods to reveal themselves. All of them had the symbol of a Megakure, hidden rain. The one to the left had his hit I-8 covering his whole head, a rebreather and a sash around his eyes. The one to the center had the same setup only his sash had eye holes. The one to the right had his hit I-8 covering his whole head, a rebreather and a sash around his eyes with only his left eye visible. The man in front had green hair and purple eyes. His Megakure hit I-8 was on his forehead. Kairoku gave them all a look before speaking. Okay, you were hired to protect my runner for the race. However, if you feel the need to hinder my competition, I'm willing to pay extra. He said with a smirk. Very well. The leader said but stopped when he felt that someone was watching them. He pulled out a kunai and rushed outside. He searched outside, but he couldn't find anything. All he could hear were the sounds of crickets. He closed the doors and went back to Kairoku. Apologizes, I believed that we were being watched. No apologies needed. You just proved you're worth the money. Now, what are your names? At the same time, Naruto, Kiba, Shino and Akamaru were getting settled. Hinata had her own room and was getting settled herself. Naruto and Shino were rolling out their bedrolls while Kiba was still complaining. I can't believe that we have to protect that jerk. Kiba said hotly. We've heard you since the introductions. I don't like it either, but we just have to deal with it. Naruto said with a little annoyance toward Kiba. Kiba was about to say something until an army of insects came through the window. They pooled in front of Shino. Naruto understood what this meant and turned his attention to his fellow Chunin. They all watched as they took the forms of the AIM ninja. Akamaru, go and get Hinata. Naruto ordered. The puppy barked and trotted out of the room. Naruto turned back to Shino. So, I was right about the Wagarashi family. They did hire a team. Those 3 I remember from the Chunin exams. When the insects got to the adult, Naruto recognized him. Naruto went to his pack to grab something. He got it just as Hinata entered the room. Why you called me? Hinata asked. Naruto turned the pages of a book before finding who he was looking for. Bakusho Aoi, he's a Nukenin, Rouge Ninja, from Konoha. Naruto read. Wait, he's a Nukenin. What for? Kiba asked. He stole the Raijin no Ken, lightning sword, the weapon of the Nidaime Hokage, second fire shadow. Naruto said. That's when he felt something warm in his pocket. He pulled out a tag that was glowing. Realizing what this meant, Naruto did some hand seals. Fuchiyus no Jutsu. Summoning technique, Naruto called out and put his hand of the ground. In a puff of smoke, a small toad appeared. Hey Kasuke, did you get to Tsunade Bachin? Grandmother, Naruto asked. Oh yeah. Kasuke said and handed him a folder. Naruto opened the folder for everyone to see. What they read surprised them all. Anko jumped into the streets with a cheer and her arms in the air. She was happy because she was finally done with her punishment. How was the important question due to her having 200 D rank missions? Anko would never tell, but she was just happy for it to be over. You look happy. Anko turned toward the voice to see Kakashi. He had his team, 2 of them giving her the stink eye. Of course I'm happy. My punishment is over. I can get back to some real missions and to my team. Anko said. You shouldn't even be a ninja. Sasuke stated. After what you did to me, that will be enough Jonin. Kakashi commanded. Sasuke glared at Kakashi, but the Jonin glared right back. Sasuke scoffed but remained silent. Anko looked at Kakashi with some surprise. Wow, you've disciplined him. Can you make him do tricks or beg? Anko asked jokingly. Sasuke glared hard, his Sharingan active. Before he could do anything, a kunai was to his throat. Sasuke looked up to see Kakashi's Sharingan glaring at him. Sasuke deactivated his Sharingan making Kakashi cover his and removing his weapon. Kakashi then looked at his reading partner a look. Please don't antagonize him. Kakashi said. Fine, I apologize. How about I make it up to you? First rounds are on me. Anko said. Kakashi nodded and motioned his team to walk. They walked toward the tower. Anko looked at the team, especially Sasuke. She turned her attention back to herself and walked off. Naruto was learning against the mast. They were sailing but didn't know where. Idate decided to change course on them and ran east. They ran to a dock where a boat was waiting. Naruto wasn't happy, but he did not argue. If it helped, it helped. He looked at Hinata who kept a lookout. "So, why did you keep that quiet guy back? He not as good?" Idate asked mockingly. "Shino is a Chunin, just like me. I had him stay back to help with the mission. Seeing that the Wagarashi family put out a hit on you, I had him stay back and gather evidence and learn some things," Naruto said. That got Idate attention as he looked at Naruto. "Wait a minute, what are you talking about? What hit?" Idate asked. "Just like your boss, the Wagarashi hired a group of ninja, but they aren't here to protect their runner. They are here to take you out to make sure that you don't win," Naruto informed him. "Then Naruto, a ship is coming," Hinata said. Idate looked over the boat to see a larger ship coming toward them. What, who is that?" Idate demanded. "That would be the Aimnin that were hired. They knew about your plan and were waiting for us," Naruto said. He turned to Kiba, Akamaru and Hinata. "Guys, get our stuff ready. I'll start setting up everything." The two nodded and went below deck. Naruto pulled out a brush and some ink. Idate was beginning to freak out. "What the hell are you doing? You have to do something about this," he shouted. "We are doing something," Naruto said, writing seals onto the boat. "I have no doubt that their leader is watching us from the island. Even if we escape his team, he will be waiting for us. Lucky for you, my clones tailed his underlings and I have dealt with them. We're about to change ships." "So," Naruto stood up and turned to Idate, a serious expression on his face. "Why don't you tell me about Rakusho Aoi?" I don't know what you are talking about," Idate said nervously. "Oh, I think you do, Marino Idate." Idate was surprised and fearful. He was looking for an escape, but he knew that he would not get far with Naruto in front of him. "When we met, I sent word about you back to Konoha. Who knew that you were the one who helped steal the Raijin no Ken? Lightning sword. Look, you don't know the whole story." Idate tried to explain. That's when the ship came up alongside them. Naruto quickly grabbed Idate and pulled toward the bow. "Good, you can explain it during the journey," Naruto said before tossing Idate over to the other ship. Kiba grabbed Akamaru and jumped across. Hinata followed and Naruto was the last one out. He did a seal that suddenly set the boat on fire. He made his way over to the three Aimnin that were tied up to the mast. The boat began to sail away as the old boat burned. All three genin looked at the downed Idate who was looking up at them. "So Idate, how about that story?" Iroku looked out at the port with a slimy smile. He couldn't wait. When his runner won, he would own all of this. He could do anything he wanted and that fool Jiracho could do nothing about. He always hated Jiracho for how he did business. He didn't act like any criminal. Criminals were not fair and did not help anyone else but themselves. To him, the Wasabi family was an embarrassment as a criminal family. "Looking over your future empire?" a voice said. An old man with black eyebrows, short smoothly relengthed gray hair and slanted black-colored eyes. He also has a small gray circular mustache. He was wearing a small black cup-like hat on top of his head that is tied under his chin with a white-colored string. Kairoku smirked at him. "Minister Aruno, so glad you can come to see me. How's our plan going?" he asked. "Not to worry. My men will keep an eye out. Even if your team can't complete the job, we will find something to disqualify Jiracho's brat," Aruno said. "Good, it is good that I have you on my side," Kairoku said. Unknown to them, a figure was in Kairoku's office. He went through his drawers without making a sound. It did not take him long to find what he needed as it was all out in the open. Taking what he needed, Shino dissolved into bugs and left without a trace. Aoi arrived at the docks just as the ship came in. He counted himself lucky that he got here ahead of it. He was annoyed because of a feeling he got when he saw Idate's ship burn. He did not see any use of a jutsu or the fire arrows that was agreed upon. He quickly made his way on board and was surprised at what he saw. All three members were tied up and knocked out. He was trying to get a sense of everything when he heard some metal flying toward him. He rolled out of the way and threw off his robe. Naruto appeared to face him. Naruto looked at the man in front of him. The dark blue and gray, sleeveless jumpsuit looked stupid on him. He watched as he pulled out a handle with no blade. Naruto recognized it and prepared himself. "I'm going to be taking that back," Naruto said. This made Aoi scoff at him. "I don't see how. By the vest, I can tell you're a new Chunin. I'm a Jonin and I wield the Raijin no Ken," Aoi said and activated the sword. The yellow blade glowed and lightning arced around it. Naruto narrowed his eyes at him before rushing forward. Aoi swung the sword in an arc, but Naruto ducked under it. He swept at his feet, but Aoi dodged it and brought the blade down. Naruto rolled out of the way, tossing shuriken. Aoi blocked them all and charged forward. He slashed and stabbed at Naruto who dodged everything with ease. Naruto slipped into his guard and punched Aoi in the gut. It staggered him enough for Naruto to kick him across the bow. Naruto quickly did some hand seals. Hain. Nkakuk no jutsu. Fire release. Great fireball technique, a fireball raced toward Aoi. Recovering, he cut the fireball in two. He then pulled out his umbrella. Throwing it into the air, he called out a jutsu of his own. Jaro Senbon. Senbon shower. Hundreds of Senbon rained down on Naruto and punctured him. Naruto was covered in Senbon as Aoi walked up to him. A nice attempt, but like I said, you can't beat me. He boasted. I wouldn't be so sure about that. I hope you don't mind being trapped for a while. With that, Naruto dispelled in a puff of smoke, shocking Aoi. That's when he suddenly felt his body get hit with several volts of electricity. He frozen in place and wondered how he did not notice this. He was able to look down to see the ceiling array all over the deck of the ship. Aoi growled and struggled to move his limbs. He stabbed the deck with the Raijin no Ken. The blade of lightning began to absorb the electricity, and after a few moments, Aoi was able to move. He dropped to a knee and tried to catch his breath. He couldn't believe that he got caught like that by a Chunin. This did not sit well with him, and he would get even with the brat. He waited a few minutes before making his move. It was time to hunt down some dead men. Team Naruto was running with Idate. The three guarded him in the Manji formation. Due to the Byakugan and Akamaru, they all knew that they were ahead of their competition by several yards. The pace they moving at was good for now, and it saved them energy in case of change in the situation. Naruto suddenly felt something tug in his mind. He turned to face the others. Guys, we're going to stop for a second. I've got some info on Aoi. Naruto said. The group came to a full stop. Idate looked a little nervous due to the fact that they were talking about his old sensei. Okay, my hunch was right. Aoi did go to the docks to check on his team. My clone engaged him and lost, but I got the memories. What did you gain from it? Hinata asked. Well, we'll definitely face him again. In my opinion, he'll try to get ahead of us and lay out an ambush. We need to be prepared for any type of genjutsu. Also, Naruto turned toward Idate. Exactly how good of a jonin was Aoi before he betrayed the village? Well, if I was to be honest, he wasn't that good of a teacher. He taught my old team basic stuff that we learned in the academy and how to detect genjutsu. That's about it. Idate answered. That could explain the engagement my clone had with Aoi. I thought he would be a lot stronger using the Raijin no Ken, lightning sword. He swung it around like an amateur and only beat my clone by using his umbrella full with Senbon. If a Megakure Hidden Rain gave him the rank of Jonin, it was probably because he stole the Nidame's weapon. Naruto explained. So, this guy is going to be a breeze? Boasted Kiba. No, we'll be on guard when we face him. For now, a howl cut through the air. It was pretty close to them. We'll focus on the race. Let's get going. Kiba and Hinata nodded at the order. They began to run again. Yukumo was taking some time for herself, or she was trying to. She was playing her flute and she gained an audience with many of the young children in her clan. They always did enjoy her playing. She finished her song and the children began to clap. That was a pretty song, Yukumo Onisan, big sister. Exclaimed a girl. Thank you. Would you like to hear another song and see something cool? She asked. The children were very excited and cheered for it. Yukumo was about to play and show off a new jutsu but was interrupted when she saw her uncle, father and very pregnant mother. Yukumo's little brother or sister was only days away of being born. However, neither of them were happy. Mother, father, uncle, is something the matter? Yes, daughter, there is a lot wrong. That girl that you went on a mission with has crossed a line and now we are on our way to the Yamanaka compound to deal with it. Yoroko answered irate. Yukumo was surprised by the bitter tone and turned to her uncle. It seems that Inoichi's daughter managed to get into the compound with help of some pink-haired girl. However, they landed on your mother's prize tulips, the ones that the daimyo's daughter enjoys. Ankai explained. Yukumo was stunned by this. They are lucky that we did not catch them or we would have taken them to the Hokage. Do not stress this, niece, we will deal with this. Understood, uncle. Yukumo said. The adults walked away and were on their way to the Yamanaka compound. Once they were out of view, Yukumo began to release her anger. She was not pleased at all. While she promised her uncle that she would stay out of this, a line was just crossed. She reined in her emotions and told the children that she had to do something. They understood and left. Yukumo also left. She need to find Janken and go hunting. It was raining hard, too hard for them to continue running. They were hidden under a large oak tree as the rain came down. Naruto was looking over a map with Hinata and Kiba. They were trying to figure out where Aoi was going to attack. Akamaru was with them due to the fact that Aoi had met up with the Wagarashi's runner. Kiba informed them that Aoi was leading him through a shortcut that would get him ahead of them. Still, they would also need to stop as well. If what Akamaru told you is correct, then here is where they will end up. We should expect Aoi to ambush us at the rope bridge. Naruto said. I wish Shino was here. He's usually the guy who does all the thinking stuff. Kiba said. Don't worry. Shino is going to meet up with us. He managed to finish his part of the mission and is getting a ride. He should be on the island soon. Naruto said. How do you know that? Idate asked. Page Bunshin, Shadow Clone, no jutsu is not just a good jutsu for attacks, but it is originally used for spy missions. I left a couple of clones with your boss, just in case that guy sent an assassin for him. Naruto explained. Huh, I guess you deserved your rank. Idate said with a tone. You got a problem with our leader's rank. Kiba snarled. Naruto just put a hand on his shoulder. Don't sweat it, Kiba. He can be jealous if he wants. I earned my rank and I don't have to justify myself to someone who allowed himself to be tricked just because he disagreed with the correct decision. Naruto said. Idate glared at Naruto. What the hell do you know? Ibiki's decision to fail me was wrong. I was brave enough to face the 10th question, just like you. Idate shouted. The only difference between you and me is that I wouldn't sacrifice my teammates just to move forward. If any member of my squad felt that they couldn't handle the pressure, I would have waited the 6 months. I even bet that you were expecting to pass just because your brother was the one who led the exam. Naruto stated. Idate could not say anything to Naruto because everything he said was the same thing that his brother had said to him. The rain suddenly lessened and Naruto determined that they could keep moving. After gathering their stuff, they were on the move again. Eno groaned and tried to open her eyes. She could hear someone shouting and she thought that it might be her name. Opening her eyes, she realized that her world was upside down. She was starting to panic and wondered where she was. Then there was that loud yelling that was right next to her ears. Okami, will you shut up? Eno shouted. Eno Buta, pig, you're finally up. The voice said. Sakura. What the hell is going on? Eno said and tried to move, but Sakura stopped her. Don't move. If you move, we will fall. Sakura shouted. Fall? Eno said, now fully alert. She looked down to see that they were very high up. She also noticed that she tied to Sakura, back to back. Are we being held up by some type of rope? Your friend is holding you up. A voice said. Eno knew that voice and looked to find the person. She looked toward the sky to see Yukumo and Janken standing on the branch. What the hell is this? Eno demanded. I would be more concerned with helping you partner in crime. She's been using her chakra to keep her and yourself from falling. Seeing as she's been doing this for about 5 minutes and has the chakra pool of an infant, I give her a minute, maybe less. Janken explained. Eno's eyes widened and attempted to find the branch. Her feet touched it and she quickly used her chakra to hold herself to it. She was glad for that because seconds later, Sakura lost her grip. Eno grunted as she had to hold Sakura. She looked back at the two. Do you realize what you are doing? You'll get in trouble if we get hurt. Eno shouted. You should have thought of that before you invaded my home. Yukumo said with an edge. Eno glared right back at her. You got me suspended and you made Asuma so mad at me that he is pushing me harder than ever. Eno spat. You got yourself suspended when you were insubordinate. You're the reason your team nearly got killed. If I didn't get free from that ceiling trap, you would have to explain why the Akamichi heir and the Jonin commander's sons are dead. Do you really think that they would just forget that because you're a family friend? Maybe that's the lesson your sensei is trying to get across to you, action have consequences. Yukumo stated. What about what your crazy sensei did to Sasuke? Sakura shouted. She went too far and Kakashi sensei is punishing us for it. Your Sasuke should have never threatened our teammate after he saved his ass. You're lucky Anko didn't slice his neck open for it. I can't speak for Kakashi, but maybe you should work on keeping your squad together instead of petty revenge. Janken said. What are you talking about? Sakura asked. Your team is on the short list to be dismantled. It isn't surprising considering that you are a disgrace as a kunoichi, both of you are. Yukumo said. This angered both of the hanging girls. Eno would have said something, but she needed to focus on keeping herself and Sakura from getting hurt. Suddenly, 3 figures appeared. The 2 hanging kunoichi were happy that they were found, but this caused Eno to lose her concentration. They screamed as they fell, but they stopped after 10 feet. They were dangling from a rope. This made Janken snort in amusement. I can't believe that they didn't realize that. You guys really need to up your training of these two. Janken said. How did you even find us? Yukumo asked. That's when she saw a small pug on the head of one of the Jonin. Ah, Pakken led you here. He did. Kakashi said with a sigh. I understand that you are upset about Eno's and Sakura's actions, but this might be going a little too far. Yeah, and trampling my mother's prized tulips weren't. Yukumo demanded. Something that she will be punished for, believe me. We just don't want to escalate the tension between the teams. Asuma said. Well, they're all yours. Keep them away from us and we won't have to do anything like this again. Janken said. The 2 Chunin vanished using the Shunshin teleport, leaving the dangling pair and the Jonin. The lone female looked at the 2 males with a nervous grin. Well, at least they are alive. Anko hasn't corrupted them yet. Kurenai said with a chuckle. The deadpan look that she got from the two did little to end the nervousness. The team was running full speed. Akamaru had howled, letting them know the Wagarashi runner was in front of them, but it wasn't by much. Naruto told Ide to be prepared to run like hell, and the team removed his weights. They reached the rope bridge and saw the Wagarashi runner. They also saw Aoi. The ninja saw them as well. He removed his umbrella and threw it into the air. Jaro Senbon. Senbon shower, Aoi shouted. The Senbon shot forward, making the team stop. Hinata got in front of them and began to spin. Peyton. Palm rotation, the Senbon were knocked away, protecting the team. Aoi cursed at this. I wasn't expecting a Hyuga. No matter. I won't be defeated with this. Aoi said and pulled out the Raijin no Ken. He activated it and ran forward. He then heard buzzing and had to dodge before a swarm of insects nearly got him. He skid to a stop and looked for this new threat. The insects parted to reveal Shino. An Aburum. He noticed that Idate was crossing the rope bridge. He threw some kunai to cut the ropes, but it was stopped by Naruto. Idate crossed the bridge without trouble. Oh Idate. Win this race. We got this. Naruto shouted. Idate nodded and took off, speeding away from the scene. Naruto turned his attention back to Aoi. The Jonin was swinging the Raijin no Ken around, trying to hit members of his team. He was failing miserably and getting hit by Hinata, Kiba and Akamaru. Shino provided support, which made it easier to deal with him. Aoi was sent flying across the ground from a tag team combo from Kiba and Akamaru. The feral ninja and his partner just looked at Aoi with grins. Man, Naruto was right. You are just an amateur. Kiba boasted. You shut your mouth. Aoi spat angrily. I will kill you all and catch up to Idate. You can dodge all you want, but the second I make contact with the Nidame's weapon, you will fall. I don't think so. Naruto said, walking up. You may have the Nidame's weapon, but you weren't able to decipher the scroll. You can't use the Raijin no Ken's full power. Without that sword, you're a low Chunin at best. Like I told you on the boat, I'm taking that sword back to Konoha. Just try and take it, you brat. Aoi roared and charged at the group. Naruto vanished and reappeared within Aoi's guard. Naruto threw a heavy punch to Aoi's gut that folded the Jonin. He gasped and his grip loosened on the sword. That's when he felt something grinning into his stomach. Rasengan. Naruto said. Aoi cried out as the sphere of chakra dug into him. He was then launched through several trees before hit a large tree. Aoi was laying against the tree, out cold. Naruto just picked up the Raijin no Ken and turned toward his team, who was just looking at him with some shock. Well now, who's up for some ramen? Naruto asked with a cheeky grin. Amic number 1, how? That was the question that the owner was asking himself. How in the world did they get alcohol in their system? He made sure that Team Anko was not served any of it, not after the last time. He looked to his workers with demanding eyes, but they didn't know how it happened either. Alright, Anko's intoxicated voice called out. So we're going through with our plans of revenge. Hell yeah. We're going to get those Harunos back and I have a score to settle with the old bat. Naruto exclaimed. Alright then, down them and let's get to work. Anko said. All four gulped down their drinks and stumbled out of the restaurant. The owner quickly acted by locking his restaurant down and having his servers give out appetizers to the remaining guests. He also sent out a server to warn the village. Kami helped their victims. Hiashi was trying to concentrate on his work but he couldn't at the moment. There was some sort of commotion going on outside. He finally just gave up and stood. He was going to get to the bottom of this. He entered the main hall where the noise was coming from only to look at the mayhem before him. His fellow clansmen were trying to combat several large serpents. They were either ensnaring some Hyuga or moving too fast for others to capture them. A boa appeared before him and the two just stared at each other. You're a summon, aren't you? He asked. The boa nodded at the man, making him narrow his eyes and activate his Byakugan. I would advise your mistress that I will come after her after we have cleared you all out. The serpent nodded before slithering away. His annoyance only grew. He promised swift and painful retribution. Ibuki was sighing as she walked with her aunt-in-law and her daughter. They had just come from dinner and it was a very nice meal, which was spoiled by her daughter's constant demands. She didn't understand the hostility that she had against Anko or her team. Yes, the Kunoichi did go a little too far when she broke Sasuke's kneecap, but as a former shinobi herself, the boy had it coming. She just wished that her daughter would let this grudge go. Anko did not take such comments about her character lightly. She was a little surprised that her aunt-in-law did not receive a visit from the woman. Sakura continued her demands all the way to their house which they entered. Once a light switch was turned on, the sounds of explosions could be heard throughout the house. It was followed by several screams, alerting the people outside. After a few minutes, the screams died down, and so did the explosions. Inside, Mibuki opened her eyes to a very horrid sight. Her home, the one that she spent years making, was now covered in a horrible neon orange color. Not only was her home in this color, but so was she and her daughter and her aunt-in-law. She could only watch in stunned silence. The door suddenly opened and in came her husband, Kizashi. He was followed by two shinobi. He saw the state of his family and house and could only sigh. He had arrived too late to stop the revenge. Tsunade just looked at the elders plus the owner of the restaurant that Team Anko was eating at. "You can't be serious right now," Tsunade said. "We are very serious. You need to mobilize the Anbu and get that team under control," Homura stated. "All because that they are hammered and they managed to prank the Hyuga clan and the Haruno family?" she asked. "You were not here for the first time that this happened. The mayhem that they unleashed was frightening," Kaharu explained. "Listen, I'm not mobilizing the Anbu to catch a drunken team," Tsunade said. The people standing in front of her watched as Tsunade slowly began to change. She was getting older and wrinkles were appearing. Shizune was shocked by what was happening while the elders just watched with some amusement. Tsunade saw this and was confused. "What is so?" Tsunade stopped and noticed that her voice was different. She looked at herself and was stunned. "Hey old hag," someone shouted. Tsunade turned around only to be hit with a bright light. She was blinded, but she knew that annoying voice. "Naruto," she roared in an old voice. The blonde was already gone, leaving an enraged Tsunade. She turned towards Shizune. "Mobilize the Anbu, now." It did not take long to capture and restrain Team Anko. They were all in a cell being watched by several members of the Anbu and Ibiki. Tsunade stormed into the room and stopped in front of the cell. She glared at each member of the team, especially Naruto. "Did you search them?" Tsunade demanded. "Yeah, we searched them. We didn't find the film, but we did find a flask that contacted 100% alcohol on Anko. My guess, she spiked their drinks," Ibiki said. Tsunade turned her eyes back to the team. "I hope you all know that you will be punished for your actions. I will not go easy on any of you," Tsunade said sternly. "Not as easy as it was to break that genjutsu. I guess your chest size was a lie after all," Naruto said cheekily. Tsunade saw red and ripped the door off its hinges. With a roar, she launched herself at Naruto and began punching him. His team just watched with inebriated amusement. It would be 2 days after the race. Idate won the race by quite a distance after he took off his weights. He easily caught up to the Wagarashi's runner and quickly outpaced him. Kairoku was pulling his hair out at the result. He decided to accuse Jiracho and his family of cheating along with Minister Aruno. However, the daimyo was not open to listen. He revealed their plans and their corruption. They were arrested and dragged away. It would be the end of the Wagarashi family. Team Naruto spent 2 days in Cha no Kuni, Land of Tea, enjoying their success and the small break before returning to Konoha. Naruto received word that a team was coming to pick them up to secure Aoi. The former Konoha Nukenin, missing ninja, was being kept in check with the help of Jiracho's men. Idate was able to move around despite Kiba's disagreements. The team had made an agreement with Naruto to go with him back to Konoha and face his punishment. Team Naruto led their prisoners toward the dock to meet up with the team that Tsunade sent. When they got closer, they saw just who they sent. It was Ibiki Marino. He was flanked by 2 others. They walked up to Team Naruto. Ibiki looked at the group and upon seeing Aoi, he smiled. "I always knew that we would meet again. This time, you will be the one who feels everything," Ibiki said. He then turned to Idate. The 2 brothers just looked at each other for a while. Surprisingly, Idate did not flinch away despite his nervousness. This made Ibiki smile. "You don't have the eyes of a coward anymore. I'm glad to see that." This surprised Idate. Thank you. I'm sorry for the trouble I caused," Idate said nervously. Ibiki scoffed, but it was an amused one. He then looked at Jiracho. "He's your responsibility now," Ibiki said. Jiracho nodded as the team was confused. "He's a wasabi now, a member of my family. He will be taken care of," Jiracho said. Ibiki made a motion to Naruto who just let Idate go. Kiba was about to shout but was stopped by Shino. Jiracho continued to speak. "As of today, Idate has been pardoned for his role of the theft. This only works as long as he swears loyalty to the wasabi, officially." That shocked everyone, including Idate. Sir, I don't know what to say," Idate said. "It's okay. The ceremony will be tonight. I will allow you to say your goodbyes." Jiracho walked away as Idate turned back to the group. Kiba wasn't happy about it but did not want to spoil the mood. He quickly made his way to the boat followed by Shino who just nodded. Hinata nervously congratulated him before catching up with her team. This left Idate, Ibiki and Naruto alone. "Don't let the boss down, Idate," Naruto said. "I won't. I am also sorry about how I treated you. I was just jealous," Idate said. "Don't sweat it," Naruto said and held out his. Idate took it and they shook. "Until we meet again." Naruto followed Ibiki back to the ship. Idate would stay, bound to his brother as the ship sailed away. Tsunade looked at the hilt of the Raijin no Ken, lightning sword. She was not happy when she learned of its theft. She would have invaded a megacur, hidden rain, to get it back if she wasn't also in debt to a couple of loan sharks in the area. Now, it was back and she couldn't be happier. Her mood changed when she looked up to face Naruto. She hated to admit it, the brat did well leading his team. However, she wasn't looking forward to this, especially with the smug smirk on his face. Good work everyone. You all did an exceptional job and brought the village a new client. You have also returned a priceless artifact back to my clan. I am happy and you should all be proud of your success. Tsunade said. Thank you Hokage-sama. They all said. This surprised her as Naruto was actually be respectful. I'm surprised brat. I figured that you would be mocking me or make a smart-ass comment. She said. I was but Shizune stopped me. She said that you were in a good mood and she didn't want me to ruin it. She stressed out and I didn't want to add to it. Naruto explained. Are you accusing me of stressing out my apprentice? Is that a serious question? Tsunade glared at him but calmed herself. You're dismissed. The team bowed and left the office. Tsunade sighed before reaching in her drawer for her secret's sake, only to find it gone. Instead, she found a small note. She took it and opened it. Help Shizune find your stash. Thanks again for the praise. It read. Tsunade sucked her teeth in annoyance. I have to kill him. I now realize this. He has to die. With that, Tsunade stood up and walked out of her office. Outside, Naruto and Team Kurenai faced each other. Naruto figured he had about 2.5 minutes before Tsunade chased him. So, you guys were great to work with. I can see why you guys are the best among the rookies. Naruto said. Seriously? Hell yeah. I am just glad to be known as the best. I was getting annoyed about how great Sasuke was. Kiba said with a feral grin. Naruto just smirked at the group before vanishing using the Shunshin teleport. The team turned to each other, trying to figure out what they wanted to do when they saw Tsunade exit the building. She saw them, but did not seem to acknowledge them. She also vanished using a Shunshin. I wonder what that was about. Hinata asked curiously. Maybe it has to do with that bottle Naruto took out of the Hokage's desk. Shino answered. Man, he must have no fear of the Hokage to do that. Kiba added. The three shrugged at what was happening and decided to go and see if they could find Kurenai-sensei. Kakashi was standing in front of the memorial stone, his mind in another world. Usually, he would stare at the stone and lament about his failures. However, he was thinking about a decision that he needed to make. Sensei, Rin, Abito, what should I do? He whispered to himself. Eternal rival. I have finally found you. Kakashi turned to see Guy jog up to him. Sorry Guy, I'm in no mood for a challenge. Kakashi said seriously. I am not here for that today. Laughed Guy. He then looked at Kakashi seriously. I was worried that you were falling back into your old habits. Kakashi was amused by that, but he understood why. It had been a while since he stood in front of this stone with his usual troubles. A lot of his comrades would say it was thanks to his close friendship with Anko, which they weren't far off about. No, I haven't fallen on my old habits. My mind is somewhere else. I was looking for answers to my current situation. Kakashi said. So, you have reached your limit with them? Guy asked. Yes, I have reached my limit with Team 7. He said seriously. Kakashi believed in second chances, but his team had just used them up. There was Sasuke, the biggest problem. The boy would challenge him at every turn. He refused to do the missions below his C rank. He also refused to work with the team or train with them. He knew from his contacts that he was trying to strengthen his Chidori, 1000 birds, and he was using the curse mark. Sakura was very vocal in her displeasure of his treatment. She was grossly insubordinate and refused to train in anything. It got to a point when he publicly dressed her down, sending her home in tears. Sai was still spying for his true master, which scared him. His team was considered the worst among the genin teams and had the most failures. If you ask me Kakashi, the decision to disband your team is the right one. Guy said. Yes but my concerns are many. Sasuke doing traitorous things and Sai's master lurking in the shadows. If I disband my team, only darkness I see for the future. Kakashi explained. Guy understood where he was coming from. Suddenly, Guy had an idea. I think I have a solution. Guy said with some excitement. Kakashi looked at him with interest. I'm not in disagreement of this plan. I just think it would be simpler to